Street talk time.
Woo-hoo.
So many things happened. What?
It's quite a week this week. It's not like I kind of look back on this week's Corrie and I'm not thinking, oh, this is, an amazing, epic, cliffhangery. But there was quite a bit that happened in this week that people got excited or mad about. So I'm kind of looking forward to this, but also a little bit trepidatious about whatever we're going to say. This is just going to be an episode where I run my mouth off and get myself into trouble. But okay, so we're gonna start off with swallow their pride. That's the story.
Oh,
Do you get it? Swallow their pride. Swallow their pride.
I can't yet.
That kind of sounds like it, doesn't it? That's not too bad.
Sometimes you're so excited about constructing a pun, you don't think about the meaning.
No, Carla's not completely
Carla's
proud
got to swallow her pride.
Yes.
I don't know.
It's happening.
Isn't it
Swallow is happening.
You could also call this Pride and Prejudice.
Is there prejudice, though?
Well,
or is everyone just very accepting? Not that many people know yet.
Swain was like, you straight birds. Also, Carla was like, gay, moi. Don't think so.
Was she, though?
I don't know.
I don't think she really was.
I think she thought about that before this week. And maybe.
Well, look, we'll get to that first. Then we're going to go back to the plastic surgery storyline, which is also going to include everything that's been going on with Jessie and Gail.
Do you know
I just couldn't think of a storyline title for the Jessie and Gail bit of it, so I bundled them all together as part of the number 8 fun.
My favourite bit about the Bethany storyline, which, is an issue storyline that we were saying, it's actually not like a super in your face issue storyline. Were we saying this? Yeah. I'm enjoying it. It doesn't feel preachy, but it's relevant and new and interesting. They've never done it before. And Coronation Street went, yeah, but what if Damon was in it and Sarah was flirting with him again? What about that? What if there was a blackmail storyline and some money that was stolen in a robbery?
That's all they know. That's all they know.
I don't care. I don't care about that. I want to see more about Bethany coming to terms with her stoma bag and trying to keep the secret from everybody.
But I'm a little bit sick of her wallowing already. I know she has the right to wallow. Well, does she?
I tell you what.
Did she bring this all on herself?
You can wallow even if you brought it on yourself. And also, I am sick and tired, am I the only one, of women lying in bed with their hair behind their heads and all down their necks when it's all ratty and sweaty and horrible. It'd be itchy as hell. Am I the only woman who hates leaning my head against hair?
Which is, you reckon it should be
Whenever I see somebody leaning against something or in bed or something, I think, just pull your hair out your way. Is that not annoying you? Put it in a bun. What are you doing?
Oh, I can't say I considered that, but
it really annoys me
think
to
about
have
it differently
hair
next week.
on my neck.
Mason and the Carpenter is next. We had a new character, a new entrance into this with Mason's brother Logan, briefly on Friday. And then we got the drama at number 9. Fizz ain't popping no more. We got rid of the baby. She's had the termination
already.
Can't
have that.
Why? I've done it. There's also a bit of Steak with a Vape, and there's a bit of a fire on Friday, which I didn't know was coming. I hadn't seen that, so that was quite exciting. Even though it was a little mini fire in a cabinet that I'm not convinced that we've seen a whole lot of before.
That cabin was a fictional cabin. That's where they put the like you said, they put the camera on that when they're filming normally.
I don't know. I probably was already there, but hadn't seen it much. But anyway,
they invented that entire wall. Didn't they? That cupboard, there's a little cupboard on the wall that was never there a few years ago. I know it wasn't.
Was there? I don't know.
Yeah, with little drawers in it.
Okay, next up, we had Paul Bearers last week. Now it's Paul Over.
Just so you know, I've got a lot of nitpicks.
Yeah, that's no...
Like, there's a scene later on where Mason goes to the shops and Yasmin gives him a note, right, which surely is a £20 note. It can't have been a 50, nobody has those, and it can't have been a 10, because what happens next? He comes back with two bags, count them two bags of shopping, right? And he gives her back change and coins and a note. Now, all right, I'll give him. Could have been a £5 note. What's he buying down Fresco, right? That's
Fresco
2 bags
has got some bargains, Gemma.
That's like under £15 for all that. I want Fresco's to come to the country as a whole.
We've got very competitive rates. They've got Aldi, they've got Lidl, they're popping up, and Fresco just has to
undercut them.
Yeah, they've probably got their 15p carrots for the bag.
Yeah, 50p carrots, bags of onions, probably flour.
Yeah, right. So okay, this is the mood of this. As I was saying, Paul Over is the end of the Paul storyline.
Oh, yeah.
It did linger a bit longer than I needed to this week, but then we had the return of Toya Nick's Leanne's boyfriend, which I think is going to happen. So
that pun works a lot better to see it written down. It's quite genius written down.
I know it is. It's quite good, isn't it? Not bad. Right. I'm gonna let you, as you know, this is the girl power storyline, Gemma. So swallow their
You were
pride.
such a fan of the Spice Girls.
Yeah, I know, but I think that you're going to be. I think I might just say something insensitive unintentionally if I do this one.
Even saying that is insensitive. I think you're going to get stick for it.
Okay, look, you tell us what happened. Let's
Carla's
react.
in trouble because she adored that kid, which we all thought was funny, but it turns out is actually wrong.
We didn't think it was funny. We thought that when she did it, it was like, why's she done that for? That's ridiculous. Who would do that? Carla certainly wouldn't.
Who wouldn't want to?
Yeah, she's got a court case on that. That seemed like
But
so
she
long
tells
ago.
Swain, and again, I'm sorry, but I can't quite bring myself to call her Lisa, even though I do. Whenever I say Lisa, I always think, I don't know.
It's still not me.
But
It's still Swain to me.
Okay, right. Let's fast forward to the future. Maybe these two, Carla
Yes.
and Lisa, maybe they get married. Okay. Maybe
Don't get people excited, Gemma.
Maybe.
You know what the internet's like.
maybe they are going to be old-fashioned about it, and one of them's going to take the other one's name. Are we going to have Carla Swain, or are we going to have Lisa Connor? Or are we going to have Lisa Carla Swain?
We do know that the Connor, it's like it's just sucking in everybody, and everyone must become a Connor at the end. Is that because everyone's wearing black? Who goes there? Carla, Michelle.
Well, I mean,
that Jenny hasn't.
Swain has got a very nice leather black coat, doesn't she? She's too blonde to be a Connor.
Don't count your eggs before the hatch.
Do you think
that's all I'm saying.
Do you think it will be Carla Swain, and then we'll be like Swain and Swain?
I don't know. More quite possibly.
I don't know what you would do.
Don't need to think about
I didn't change my name, so maybe they won't
cool
even
like you.
Maybe they won't even get married.
Yeah.
Can't believe that would be allowed these days.
Carla loves getting married. How many times has she walked down the aisle?
Yeah, that's a good question. Oh, and maybe Peter could walk in right as she's getting married and be like,
"Oh yeah,
what the hell's going on?"
He's just bumbled back in, and he's like holding a bottle of something or other.
Going in, no worries, not an alcoholic, but maybe I do need to go to the pub. Maybe this is alcoholic. I've been drinking it all the way here. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Anyway, so Carla tells Swain she's got no regrets about the car, Dora and that kid, and she's going to tell everyone in court. And she was like this all the way through, completely unrepentant.
I know.
She was only upset about the consequences, which I kind of loved her for.
I thought that it was silly. I'm sorry. She should be showing a little bit of remorse about this. Because she's hurt a kid.
Yeah, but you don't
and I know
have
that
to say...
they were a little bit of a scrote, but
you don't have to lie to you don't have to lie to everybody. You can just lie to the judge.
I think maybe I'm just putting myself in Carla's shoes here, and I would be a little bit, a bit guilty if I did it myself, more than a bit. But maybe it is kind of in Carla's.
They were being
if she gets
to Roy.
Yeah, I know they were.
St. Roy.
If she gets her, what am I saying? If she sets her mind on something, I don't think she can be changed, can she?
Apparently she can.
Well, about some things, but maybe not that. She did it for a good reason, and she's bloody well sticking to it.
But I like the honesty, because I genuinely believe that a lot of people just are sad because they got caught, and that's what she was saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's got to go to court.
Speaking of court.
And she tells Sally to be in charge, and Sally's loving it. She's like, "Oh, does this mean I'm the acting manager?"
Yeah, we get our monthly Sally appearance, don't we,
Brilliant.
on Monday?
So she scurries around because a client's come in to see her, and I can't remember what this client's name was, but for a refreshing change of pace, the factory isn't teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. So when this visitor hears that Carla's gone to court for an ABH charge and storms off without doing the deal, it doesn't actually ruin the whole factory.
No, that's a very good point, actually. It's been a while since we've had that.
It just gets Betsy in trouble because she's the one that told Sally that's where Carla was.
Yes.
So, Carla's got away with it. She's got a community order, and in Coronation Street, this means nothing.
Occasionally we see them doing community work, and we had Simon had his community order this year, didn't he? And we didn't see any of that.
The only time we've ever seen
it, and then walked off to Bilbao.
Was when all the lads were picking up litter, and they had a fight, and Ardy was there.
Les did a bit of community service back in the day.
Well,
I want to see Carla, with her wellies on and going through the muddy puddles of the Red Wreck with a litter picker in one hand and a bin bag in the other.
I want to see her with waders on in the canal fishing dead bodies out.
Maybe not dead bodies.
Oh, is
but...
this Joel?
Oh,
No, I don't think so. Put him back.
I'd like to, she was all. Yeah, I would like to see her. Just maybe that would make her realise
Scrubbing
possibly
graffiti
shouldn't have done it.
off of a urine-soaked villain's alley.
Yeah.
What else do you do?
As much as I love Carla, that could be quite amusing.
My cousin was very naughty, and she had to do some community service, and she ended up going through charity donations and sorting them.
Oh, there you go. Carla can go and work with Evelyn
she's
and
in the
Roy
rag
in the
trade,
charity
isn't she?
shop.
She'll be like, oh, it's got good stitching on this one. You get £5 for this.
Maybe she'll just take all the rejects and hand them out to the homeless men or women.
You think that's what the community... I thought that was what she would do as a hobby. As part of the community service.
She doesn't do anything generous.
Stop talking, Gemma, about nonsense. So she stands outside and causes a ruckus because she's going, oh, Ryan, I don't even care about this stupid kid. I hate him. I'll do it again. In fact, I wish I'd run him over. And the dad hears... The boy's dad. The door boy's dad. Yeah, and tells her off.
Yeah, this was all kind of precursor to the great Carla and Swain coming together at the end of the episode, didn't it? Because she basically gets this guy's back up
that's right.
so much
she was being
that she needs rescuing from him later.
She was being very rude and getting herself in trouble. Which she should start a podcast if she wants to do that.
Yeah, it's easy. Just have to sit in your bum for a few hours.
The amount of people who tried to kidnap us, and we've had brick through the window, and we had, what was the other thing? Oh, somebody put a vape in our bread bin.
Somebody put our bureau on fire.
Yeah, it's terrible. Right, so Costello, who is the boss of the police.
Bostello,
yeah, let's call him that. Bostello's there. He's telling Kit to go through all the evidence on Joel's laptop. And again, very good file organisation. He's got a load of folders with girls' names on it, including Betsy.
Yeah, Kit and Rowan, they know, don't they? They
Kit,
got good
Rowan,
Windows management.
And Joel.
Yeah.
Interesting. Some kind of evil man's club of
just
file
filing
management.
things properly.
If you're going to be a crim, you've got to be organised. So he sees Betsy's name, so he tells Swain to get to the office now. Carla gets back to the factory and fires Betsy for telling everybody about her crime, but then Betsy storms out yelling about it, so everyone knows. And then Carla kicks everyone out of the factory, which I thought was, again, it was a nice throwback.
It was a bit reminiscent of Stephen having a bit of a meltdown.
No, I mean, Carla used to do this all the time. She used to go, she either used to say, you're not having lunch, or she'd say, everyone go home, I'm having a personal crisis. We haven't seen that for ages, so that was quite fun. I thought Carla was great this week. Carla's been off the ball for me for a long time, everyone knows this. I used to really love her. And then, I think it was when she had that feud with Tracy that I kind of really got a bit sick of her. Yeah. And she's not been a boss babe, but now she is. She's telling everyone to go home. Swain gets to the station and Kit tells her he's found threatening messages from Joel to Betsy. And Joel says...
I didn't get this.
Joel says, if I will kill you for telling your mum about me.
So why were there screenshots of his text message conversations on the laptop?
This doesn't make any sense.
This is the laptop that was found in the car last week. And he's got a file with Betsy's name on, and along with a load of other girls, including Ellie was on there. And he's got screenshots of threats he's made. Like, I don't get it. Have I missed something here? Please let me know.
Yeah, I don't understand why he had it. And also, I kind of thought that she knew something was up between those two anyway, because that was why she first got involved in it. But this kind of kicks her into overdrive, into protective mama mode.
Yeah.
Because Bostello tells Swain, stand back from this case. It's too personal. Kit's going to take the lead. And then Swain's like, God damn it, Bostello, I was nearly going to get my collar. And he's like, Swain, you're 5 days from retirement. You gotta get off the case.
Yeah, so Kit's now in charge, despite the fact that, I'm still kind of mulling over, A, what I think has happened to Joel, and B, who's responsible. So this could well be a case of the person what done it is in charge of leading a investigation, maybe on a wild goose chase to try and
So you think Kit's done it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely a suspect.
What
We
about-
don't even know whether anything's been done yet.
What about Bostello?
I don't think that Bostello has done anything here. And Craig certainly doesn't have the brain cells to, well, do anything, basically, does he?
Can't
Other
even
than
rob a
make
biscuit
nice
without
cup of
making
tea.
a big fuss of it.
Oh, yeah, I like that. They had a little policeman biscuit tin, didn't they? Like, was it off The Office that they had one of these?
I don't
Stay
know,
away
but-
from the biscuit jar.
I don't know why they didn't have one of those Barclays pigs.
Why would they want a money pig?
Because they're called policeman pigs. It would be a funny in-joke.
Okay.
That was a little joke that I was just trying to make there.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry, you don't normally get them at all.
I don't get your jokes. No, I do. I think it's very funny.
Later at the factory, this order that they're all waiting for, Sally's decided to stay behind with Carla to get this order, and it's still not arrived. So Sally's trying to apologise about what happened earlier, and Carla doesn't want to hear it. And then Sally's like, "Thank you for my new responsibility. I will be sure to not to live up to it," because she thinks she's been promoted. Meanwhile, they're being watched by the car boy's dad.
Yeah, he's loitering about, isn't he? He's going to come to take his revenge.
So the delivery
For
arrives.
getting his feelings hurt in court.
Outside of court, Carla calls the woman from earlier to try to get her to take this order again, and then Car Dad comes over and goes, "Oh, Carla, not so cocky now. Funny, his name is Car Dad and her name is Carla."
Yeah.
That's weird,
so
isn't
close.
it? Meanwhile, Swain sees Betsy outside the factory. She's just about to go inside to rescue Carla from evil Car Dad, but she sees Betsy and goes to talk to her about the messages that have been left on to her on Joel's laptop. And Betsy's like, "Well, I don't think you really care. You're just pretending because it's your job and you have to." And Swain says, "I'm off the case." And Betsy says, "Well, I'm off the case as well because Carla's fired me."
Wouldn't it have made more sense if Joel's laptop had been connected to his phone and it was literally just his phone messages log that they found?
I don't know what happened here.
I really don't know, but it doesn't matter.
It's one of these weird things that I don't think really, it got lost somewhere.
The policier it gets, the less I'm comprehending the finer details of it. I'm just going along for the ride and having a good time.
Are you?
Much like Carla
ride
and
along.
Swain might be later on.
Like watching Cops.
Yeah, exactly.
So inside, Car Dad is getting right into Carla's face, and then Swain jumps in, and she's like, "Get off of her! I'm arresting you!" And she makes him stand against the wall, and Carla's like having a bit of a panic attack, and then eventually the other police arrive, and they lead him out in cuffs.
It was a little bit of an overreaction in terms of the who came to turn up, because there was an ambulance. There were a couple of panda cars just for this kind of slightly irate car dad.
Yeah. It's
Considering,
like, "Calm down, love."
yeah, considering we've had rampaging gunmen and stabbing attacks and all sorts in that street over the years, maybe that's what they think it is. Maybe it's like something's happening in Coronation Street.
Send everybody.
Send everyone just in case.
What about the fire
just in
engine?
case, and it is kind of close to where Britain's got. Where Super Soap Week could be. Are we in it? I don't know. Best send
Don't
3
think about
vehicles just in case.
So I think my prediction here, so Car Dad's been arrested. So my prediction is when he goes and has his court case, he's going to stand outside and go, "I don't care. I'll do it again if I have the chance." And Roy will be there and overhear him say that. Then Roy will follow him home and accost him and kidnap him. Then Roy will get arrested.
Who's
and
going to be there to grab
Car
Roy
Mum.
off? Car Mum.
Car Mum will be there going, I can't believe, and it will just end up until everybody has been arrested for menacing everybody over.
Well,
court
the Corrie is turning into this police procedural, as we said, so that sounds like
What would you rather have, medical show or police? Would you rather have the bill or casualty?
Drama. I don't
No, you
want
can't have it
either
anymore.
of those.
No, you can't have it. You've got to
Don't
have
want either.
medical or police.
Right. So that's basically,
What
as
about
I said,
Bring Back London's Burning?
that's basically, like I said, the catalyst for everything that goes on between Carla and Swain, because they're up in her flat later, aren't they? Swain's like, "Oh, I just come round to see how you're doing."
Well, Carla says thank you, and Swain's like, "I don't need your gratitude. I'm off the case." And Carla says, "You're really brave." And she's like, "Look, I'm just checking how you are." And then she agrees to have a glass of Ribena with Carla. And Carla opens up and she's like, "Oh, look, I'm really stressed out. My divorce papers have come through. I wasn't expecting to be affected like I am. Because honestly, I watched that episode when we broke up and I thought we were going to get back together again because we didn't actually really break up. but apparently lots has happened off screen, and now we're getting a divorce.
Apparently, they've got a new change of producer, and they're quite interested in me and you hooking up. So, what do you think?
What do you think? Swain says, "Look, don't worry about being a difficult cow. I kind of fancy difficult cows, actually." So Carla's like, "Look, I'm just really sad, and now I've got to go back in the dating game. Have you seen anyone since Becky died?" And she's like, "No, I don't need complications. I got my work, although I'm off the case, and Betsy, although she's off the case as well."
I don't know what Swain is actually working on now. Like,
All the other...
I'm genuinely interested.
Car
Like,
dad.
how many cases
Yeah, I know. I'd
are
love to
going
know.
on at a police station at once? Because according to Coronation Street, it's one. And then that goes on for months. If you're
Yeah.
a police officer,
No,
how
I don't.
many
You're
cases
probably
are
doing
you
loads of
involved
stuff
with
all
at a
the
time?
time.
And how do you kind of say, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this one, a little bit of time on that one? I don't know. Like, I would have thought that the police are quite stretched. And so taking Swain off of this case just gives her a bit more time to do her other ones.
They just don't go to most of the crimes.
Domestic abuse, domestic disputes, not so well
They
attended
don't
by
bother,
police these days,
apparently.
apparently.
Or like thefts or anything. They're just like, oh, you shouldn't have bought it in
Shouldn't
the
you left the
first
door
place.
open, should you? So this is all quite nice,
but-
this scene, isn't it? It's all very kind of a little bit romantic. There's mood lighting, there's romantic
they're
music in the
drinking
background.
wine.
They got their wine.
They're both opening up
Yeah.
about their dating and their feelings. And then Swain is talking about, how Carla said, "Oh, you're so brave and you rescued me and stuff." And Swain just like comes out with this really shocking revelation. She says, "Oh, sometimes I think that life would be easier if I was killed. Sometimes when it gets really dangerous on this job, I just think, well, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, would it?" And Carla's like, "Oh, but you just sound lonely." And Swain says, "Well, I just need to get a grip, I guess." And then she gets up and puts her coat on, and Carla gives her a hug, and Swain has just tucked her little head on and really getting into it, isn't she? She's given her a lovely hug. It looks very, very comfy.
Mm.
And then they look at each other. And this, all up until this point, it was like, hey, they're just gal pals. They're just friends. They're just two gal pal friends.
Well,
Like,
even up to this point, I think kind of it takes Carla a bit by surprise. I don't know how much we'd seen before of her genuinely showing an interest romantically in Swain, because there has been no hint up until this point that she's anything other than hot-blooded man-eater.
Yes.
But
there have been lots of looks and things that people, all the Swallow fans have got their compilations of the looks and the smiles and the smirks and the giggles. And
I almost wish that I'd watched this in a vacuum and I hadn't had anybody telling me, well, this is clearly going to happen.
Yeah.
Because would I have picked up on it?
That's just what I was saying. When we watched this scene, I was like... So Carla gives her a hug, and it does last a bit longer than a normal friend hug, and it's a bit comfier and a bit more...
Well, she even strokes her hair.
No, I haven't got to that bit yet, Michael. I was building up to it, and now you've just ruined it for
you
everybody.
carry on, I'll just drink my tea.
Swain, they both have this hug, and then they kind of pull apart, and Carla says, "Don't put yourself in harm's way." And then she strokes her hair and tucks it behind... She strokes Swain's hair, Carla does, and tucks it behind her ear. And then Swain's like, "Oh, I have to go," and rushes off. And like, I want to phone somebody up who has not known anything to do with Swallow, hasn't gone on the internet, hasn't seen any of this, hasn't picked up on... I think...
If my great auntie Val was still alive, I'd be right on the blower to her saying, do you see this coming?
What do you think of this scene if you have not seen this coming? Because I think it's fair to say that the clues weren't made, there's been loads of clues. It wasn't just manufactured out of everyone's mind. And I remember when Alison King did that interview earlier in the year, and she's going, "Oh yeah, Carla's not looking for any romantic interests."
Well, there was also
blah. And I knew that was a red herring, because I knew that they didn't just put this lot in just just to queerbait people, because they would be in so much trouble. They surely know better than that.
Well, it kind of kicked off for me when Vicky Myers did her interview, when she was made permanent character, or whatever it was called, regular, and she said, well, there is somebody that that Swain's got her eye on at the moment, and that got everybody's tongues wagging. And I think that there wasn't a huge number of people that it could be, because Swain hadn't had that many interactions with many cast members. So,
so she only
people
knew
very
a few
quickly
people.
jumped on, oh, it must be the Carla bandwagon, and it kind of all went from there. And I wonder whether, had Vicky Myers not said that in an interview, would people have jumped on the idea so quickly? I've not been, I've kind of been seeing that it's coming, and I'm not against the idea. I'm certainly not one of the Corrie fans who are like insanely swallow crazy, and you do you, as long as you're not hurting anyone else. You ship whoever you want. I'm like that with other couples as well. There are some couples that I like, I just want to protect them and love them and hug them.
Well, I was really
I'm not
into
at all like that
Ryan and Dr. Ali, but nobody listens to us, did they?
I'm not like that with these two, but I will say that I think they did a pretty good job on Monday's episode of making it feel just kind of nice and natural, and it wasn't like mega raunchy and anything like that. I think the music helped. It set the atmosphere, and at the end of the day, I was sitting there, I was thinking, look,
What?
I've only got so much in me to have a go at relationships. Like Nick and Leanne, I can fight that one. I know I'm not going to win, but I'm going to fight, and I'm going to fight, and I'm going to fight. I'm going to say, I don't want Toya. Nick and Toya. I don't want Nick and Leanne. I can't get them right.
What are you talking about?
See, like Nick and Leanne just rolls off the tongue. They belong together.
What are you talking about?
Nick and Toya. I don't want them to be together.
Nick and Toya?
Nick and Toya. I'm not.
You want Nick and Leanne?
Yes, of course.
I'm just making sure.
I don't want Nick and Toya to be an item. The idea of those two living happily together after just fills me with dread, and I think, no, Toya, you deserve better than boring
You're supposed
Nick.
to love, Michael.
So, I with this other relationship that I'm somewhat skeptical about. My stance at the moment is like, just go with it. There's only so much that you can not go with an idea, and actually I was very pleasantly surprised to see that it wasn't very difficult to just go with, because it was quite actually genuinely sweet.
It was genuinely sweet. It was really romantic. It was touching. It felt real and honest, and it felt they both sold it. Really, they did.
They did. I think they did.
And I'm going to say something. This is controversial. I think that Corrie is better at gay relationships at the moment than they are at straight ones, because Paul and Billy, that whole storyline with the MND stuff was some of the best couple storylines, some of the best couple scenes Corrie has done for years. And this is kind of building up to be something quite interesting, because I don't really think Corrie does old school romantic, you're involved in this couple stories so much. I think maybe we used to be a bit more invested, or expected to be invested as audiences.
I think we're all quite cynical about how long the relationship's going to last, aren't we?
Corrie does relationships now because they want to have something dramatic happen to one of them, or they're going to break them up, or they want a wedding, or somebody hates them being together or something. If this is just a really nice story, I mean, they're probably going to have struggles because of Carla's background.
But equally, Corrie know what they're doing putting these two together, because this is totally the sort of relationship that certain fans are going to go absolutely crazy about. And Corrie need people to be passionate about Coronation Street at the moment. It's not had the smoothest year in the press or among the fans. So no. I think that putting this together and having people going, hey, Carla and Swain, I love it, I could go in their favour.
I don't think I've ever really cared about couples on Corrie very much. I really liked Toya and Imran. I really liked Billy and Paul with the MND stuff. I liked it when I thought Nina and Seb were sweet. But I'm struggling to think about couples that I
in recent years. There were loads of old school couples.
That's what I mean.
Obviously, Curly and Raquel was that was shipping from the 90s.
That was shipping like Titanic.
Yeah, I know. I can't. But I think lots of couples back in the olden days, they were just going out, or they were just married.
Romantic. The thing about me,
they just were.
I don't really care about. I don't care about it when when a couple kisses, or like, you know, in the end of a movie when, he's got the girl, or, Bridget Jones is finally, I can't even remember which one she ended up with, and they kiss each other, I'll go, I don't go, great, lovely snog, and I love watching it, yeah. I just go,
Such a prude.
it's the end now, I guess. I don't really care. This, I thought, was really sweet, and something quite special that Coronation Street has done. And I kind of just want it to just be about them. I don't
know where it's going to go, because obviously Kana got a little bit hot under the collar, and it got fans hot under the collar.
I'm going to say something about that too. I really do think, and I don't know I don't think it's intentional to do this. I'm not trying to blame anybody, but Rana and Kate's relationship did feel a bit like totally the male gaze. You know, there was that scene with them both in their bras in the back of the car, back of the van.
Back of the V-tail van.
If you were to say to a bloke, right, imagine two lesbians together in a van, he would have just thought of that. It's just
like, I've already been imagining it before you even started your sentence.
I don't want it to be raunchy, hot, like exploitative, sexual, like Rana and Kate was, because I hate that no matter what. And I think that I trust people who are listening to understand when I'm saying this. I've said this about straight couples for years. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see. I don't like that. I don't like that aspect. I like romantic and sweet and stuff. And I don't want it to feel like really cheap and like Maxim covers and, you know, Blokes Magazine's version of being a lesbian. I want it to be like a real lesbian relationship.
Yeah, and if it was, you know, as a middle-aged couple possibly getting together, it doesn't need to be raunchy and sexy.
Well, middle-aged people can still be raunchy and sexy.
Well, I know
but what
they
I am
can,
saying,
especially if one of them's Carla Connor.
But we don't. I just don't think we've really had that, because we haven't had lesbian couples. We've had two.
Yeah, very, very few.
How many lesbian couples have we had on Corrie? We had Sean and Sophie. Oh, we've had. Okay, I'll take it back.
Kate
We've
and
had.
Kaz.
We had Imogen.
Oh yeah, who was you going out with?
I can't remember.
He was going out with Kate, wasn't she?
Yeah. Okay. I take it back, but there have been more than two.
Yeah,
but
not loads.
Not really done as well as Billy and Paul's relationship. Never done that well. So this could be the start of something good.
No, there hasn't been a long term. Well, I mean, Billy and Paul weren't really long term, were they? I mean, they were on and off for 6 years, but they certainly.
Well, it was really sweet.
But you say it's a lesbian couple, and at the moment it's still very up in the air. Like there's hashtag no labels for Carly yet, and I think some people were saying, hang on a minute, what's going on here? I'm very interested to see how that element of it is explored.
I understand what people are saying about no
well,
labels, but I am going to say I would find it really upsetting and sad for gay women to have gotten so far, you know, we're 2024, and then they finally get really great representation on the telly, but everyone's like, oh, they don't call them gay, they're not lesbians, but they are.
But I think that
can't lesbians have representation and call it a lesbian relationship?
I'd just like to see some scenes of Carla being a bit confused or conflicted.
They all have that.
Or hang on a minute, I didn't think that I was this way inclined. But you know, on Wednesday's episode, skipping ahead a little bit, we get Ryan finding out about it, and I was just thinking he showed no surprise, no shot.
You would be a bit like, what's happening?
You'd be a bit, what? Great that he's accepting, but the fact that he was like, "Hey, you fancy her, don't you? You want to kiss her?" It felt a bit.
It felt a bit like he'd seen the soap mags and gone, "I know what's going to happen."
Yeah. So
you can be accepting, but still be surprised, because this would be surprising.
It would be surprising. Of course it would be. So, I mean, there's plenty of other characters still to find out, whether that's next week after, or whatever. And I imagine that the factory girls are definitely going to have something to say. Izzy, find me. I'm surprised it doesn't bring Beth back just so she's got something to
maybe that's why they got rid of her.
Yeah, probably.
She can't have Beth in this story.
She's going to say something controversial. But yeah, there's got to be some people. It would not ring true if everybody was just blindly accepting and didn't even bat an eyelid.
It wouldn't
where this
be
character like Carla, with her reputation, is just taken up with a woman now.
It wouldn't be fair also for real life experiences of people that this has happened to.
Yeah, it's so easy
to whitewash it, because it will be difficult. And you know, we've seen people on Twitter saying, "Oh, I'm really glad Corey are doing this. I didn't realise I was gay. As you know, I'm a woman who I didn't realise I was gay till later in my life, and I'm really happy that I'm seeing myself on the screen. So let's not pretend it's easy, because these people have had struggles in their lives, I'm sure.
Yeah. That's kind of the most that I want to really kind of explore her conflictedness that you possibly would feel. I mean, I can't put myself in her shoes whatsoever. But
this is what happened with the Kana fans, though, because they got mad about any kind of hurdle that ever existed in the way of like what was a very difficult relationship between a woman who was going to get married, or was married, I can't remember, to a Muslim man who suddenly decided that she wanted to be in a gay relationship with another woman, and people were getting really upset and like mad at Coronation Street for pointing out that this wouldn't be a bed of roses.
Yeah, I mean, Simon's gone now as well, but imagine if he was still in the show. How would he react to this? He would probably be like, "What the heck? My dad, I'm gonna phone up Peter. I'm gonna phone up my dad. I'm gonna tell him what's going on." Peter probably wouldn't be that pleased to hear about it as well, and I think it would be a shame if those two characters were vilified for having a perfectly natural reaction just because some people. What?
Yeah, I don't know what you're saying now.
No, I'm saying that if they were in it, because Zidane was made out to be a bit of a bad guy, wasn't he? For saying,
yeah, but he was actually married. He was going to get married, or I can't remember if they did get married.
Yeah, they were married.
Yeah, I know, but he was mad because he was being cheated on.
I know,
and that was why I was like, okay, I see his point.
But when Peter,
not because he's saying, oh, you're not allowed to be gay because you're married to me.
No, but when Peter sailed off to Spain, it certainly, I know that this divorce has come through now, but it certainly didn't feel completely final. It was like, well, we could maybe get back together. So I think that if he were to turn up and say, look, I've had to change all this time at sea, I've been looking wistfully into the sunset, and I've realised, Carla, you are the woman for me after all. And they've been back and forth many times over the year. If he were to come back like that, and then a load of people turned against him and say, no, she's with Swain now, she's a lesbian, she doesn't like you, and then turn on Peter, I wouldn't like that. But
I don't know.
But I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think he's got any say over it now, because he's the one that buggered off.
Yeah, this is true as well. This is true. Although she bought him the tickets, didn't she? Maybe this is her plan all along. Buy my tickets to Spain and get a piece of Swain.
I'm all for Swala, and I know that we don't have any experience of this stuff, and it's very difficult, and that people, this is real life for some people. And so I hope that when we talk about it in an honest way about our reactions and thoughts, that nobody's going to get offended, because I know people do get super offended about this, and you shouldn't do, because it's just an opinion, and you're not trying to upset anybody. We're just literally saying our honest opinions.
Yeah, I am giving it a go. It seems sweet. I wasn't sure at first, but it seems sweet, and I want to like them. I want to like them as a couple, so I'm giving it a go.
I'm just really enjoying everyone being really happy about it. I'm waiting for it to all go wrong.
Well, this is how long is
and
this going to last?
I keep thinking, I know everyone's going, because everyone's loving it, but there will be an end point,
Yeah, they're not going to be together in 10 years, are they?
I don't know. One of them's going to leave or die or something, or
well, for heaven's sake, what's going on with Swain at the moment? Has she killed
Joel?
So, if she's got blood on her hands, then she has got a very limited shelf life on the street. Although I know Carla herself has covered up the death of that Polish factory worker that fell down the stairs and died 20 odd years ago.
Do you think if they do get together, which of course I think goes without saying they are going to have an actual relationship, it'll ever be like come on, tell me your darkest secrets, and Carla's like, right, okay, well, if there's a compilation, actually there's a few compilation videos.
Yeah, and Swain gets out the handcuffs, and Carla's like, oh, kinky.
No.
So it's going to end at some point, and when it does, I hope it's in a way that it can make enough people not absolutely insane and mad about it, but
because it means more. I understand it means more than the usual Coronation Street couple.
Yeah,
feels more than that. So
yeah, but I'm very interested to know, has Swain actually done something to Joel? And will Carla have to keep a secret? I'm kind of on the side of she probably hasn't. I think we're being made to think that she has got something to do with it, but I don't think they would go there. They're not going to put them together only to have Swain banged up within 6 months, are they? That'd be a real kick in the teeth for the Swala fanatics. But anyway,
Fans, just fans.
they're very passionate.
They are very passionate. On Wednesday, there's a bit. This is when it all goes off the rails a little bit, doesn't it? Because Swain sees Ryan in the cafe, and she's like, "Oh, is Carla okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'll say, "You were looking out for her," and Swain's like, "Oh no, don't mention me."
I want to know, like, I wanted to see a scene of Swain back at home at the end of Monday's episode, like, just sitting down at a table, and is she like getting all giggly, or is she like, what on earth was that? Lying there in bed with her eyes open.
I've realised we didn't actually we just launched straight into the future of Carla and Swain and who's going to take whose surname and how long are they going to last on the show. We didn't actually finish off what happened in that scene. So Carla brushes her hair, and then she kind of looks like shocked a bit at what she's done. And Swain like rushes out, and Carla looks like she just realised that she actually does have feelings, or something's different about how she feels about Swain than she thought she did.
Well, Swain has clearly been harbouring these feelings for Carla for a long time, and I guess, you know, when you've been waiting for something and anticipating, if it actually happens, you can get a bit flustered.
Goodness. I know, because you don't know what, like, you can't really read her if you're Swain, because you think she's straight.
Yeah, you've been waiting for this moment all this time, thinking it could never happen.
What does she think is happening now? Am I interpreting this wrong? This could get really bad.
Well, it's also like, do I respond? Do I stroke Carla's hair, or could that be the really wrongest move hair since Todd made a move on to Nick? But so she's probably all 6s and 7s.
Well, she doesn't want Ryan to mention her, but he still does. He goes back to Carla and tells her that she was acting weird, and Carla's like, ugh. And Ryan's like, hang on.
Yeah,
Ryan
Carla
realises
smells a rat.
No, Carla doesn't smell a rat.
No, Ryan does. Sorry,
Ryan's
Ryan
like,
does.
something's happening here.
Yeah, he knows something's happened, but he doesn't know what yet.
He doesn't know what. Betsy finds Carla in the cafe and wants her job back, and Carla says, fine. Yeah.
Good for Betsy. And I don't know what the other factory workers will think, the fact that she's managed to get a job just because the boss is possibly about to be having it away with her
stroking mum. Lisa's lovely hair. So Carla pounces on Swain at the police station to ask what's going on, and Swain's like, oh no, we've charged. She's trying to be really professional, isn't she? She's kind of standoffish.
She's hiding behind her professionalism, isn't she?
She's like almost rejecting Carla before Carla rejects her, in a way, because she's like, I'm not avoiding you, I'm just being professional, I'm just working. And Carla says, we need to talk about last night.
Yeah, it's interesting, and again, probably quite in character for Carla to do this, rather than, because Carla's probably, she would be feeling like, what on earth has been happening here, and she might, like, other people might want to hide away and go, God, I'm so embarrassed, I made a fool of myself last night, or just saying, oh, should I go and say, should I not know, what if? But Carla's very upfront and like forthright that we need to get this sorted.
I need to know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Because
it's nearly Christmas. What am I going to... Do I have to buy you a present? I don't know. I need to... Also, it's better to be in a relationship before
Christmas. God, you think Carla's going to give Swain her underworld's finest?
I don't know, Michael.
Under the Christmas tree.
I don't know. So they end up going in the room, don't they? In an interview room together, so they can have a private conversation. And Swain just admits, like, I have been avoiding you. And Carla says, you think I'm a tourist, right? And Swain's like, yeah, that's right. But there's no point having a post-mortem over something that didn't happen. And Carla says, well, I don't want this to affect our friendship. And Swain says, oh, it was just a moment and it's gone now. And Carla's trying to blame being worried about the divorce. And they said they agree to draw a line under it. This is when she says, oh, you straight birds, or something like that,
yeah,
didn't she?
Something like that.
There's such a lot of awkwardness here because, you know, neither of them know what's going on.
It was also...
And they can't admit it.
Swain is probably feeling quite vulnerable after opening up about kind of those semi-suicidal thoughts that she was having.
Yeah,
we didn't even
struggling.
talk about
No, we
that.
didn't.
It was really
Very
interesting character moment for Lisa to have her, drop the official policewoman kind of facade there and bare her soul. And as somebody who's usually very tight and you don't get to see how she's really feeling about something. She was very vulnerable and then felt something happened when I let my guard down.
Yeah, that's right. So Carla just wants to go back to how they were, and if you're Swain, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, you're still wondering what did happen here. Is she scared to take a risk on something that she's not sure if it's going to work out, or did I misread the situation, or is she like this with all her friends? Is she just one of these touchy-feely people? I don't know. I need to phone up Miss O'Connor and ask her. Yeah. Does she stroke your hair often, or? Yeah.
I wouldn't touch Michelle's hair. I'd get my hand bitten off.
Yeah.
That was pristine, that bob.
Okay, so yeah, they want to go back to how they were. Don't want to ruin the friendship, is what Carla is saying. Betsy tells Carla, "Thanks for giving my job back," and they're all in the pub at this point. Swain's there as well. Ryan's there too, and he's noticing these strange looks that Carla and Swain are giving each other. And Swain is about to text Carla to say, Sorry, I had to dash off.
Oh yeah, she had a text queued up, didn't she?
And she doesn't send it because Betsy is trying to engage with her, and it looks like Swain's decided, I don't have time to mess around with this. I've got to concentrate on my daughter and making sure that I am being a good mum to her.
Yeah, so Betsy has decided to draw a line in the sand and try and just get along with her mum, and because Swain is so worried about losing Betsy, I can't let anything distract me.
Well, this is literally what she tells.
She is too important for me at the moment.
This is literally what she tells Carla when they have the conversation. Like, I don't have time for dating. I have to focus on my job and my daughter. And then she kind of puts her money where her mouth is by deleting this message and saying, "No, I'm going to stand by what I said. I have to focus on my kid." I think that might go out the window.
And there wasn't actually any more Swyler stuff on Friday, was there? I mean, Swain only had 2-3 scenes or so, and that was all
Carla
about
wasn't in it.
Where's Joel? No, we didn't see any of Carla. So I kind of wonder that, are we going to have a bit of a break from this? And then they're
just to build up the tension a bit more.
Yeah, exactly. And then they'll be forced together in a few weeks' time, maybe. I don't know.
So, yeah, this is the Wednesday scene ends. The story ends with Ryan teasing Carla, and she's kind of like, "Oh my god!" It was kind of sweet to see the great Carla Connor, the scourge of underworld, like giggling like a schoolgirl and hiding her face, like, "Oh my god, have I kind of discovered something that I never thought I would? What am I feeling? What's going to happen?"
Yeah.
And it's kind of also must be really nice to kind of have Ryan tease. I know you. I kind of agree with you about, I don't think everyone would be like, "Oh, but of course, yes, this relationship is not unexpected to me at all." That doesn't feel right. But I guess for this moment, just having her realising that there is acceptance too for what it is that maybe she's feeling,
do you think that
would
Carla,
be a big relief.
Do you think that she cares much about what everybody else thinks of her? Because she must be thinking, people are going to think this is out of the ordinary and out of the blue. But I almost think
I don't think
she doesn't really care.
I don't think she would care, but I don't think you can just not.
I've just foreseen a scene that's going to be hilarious when Sally finds this.
Sally will be like,
"My daughter's a lesbian too."
She's going to be like, "Oh, Carla, I always knew that you were a lesbian. I always knew there's something about you. It just reminds me of my daughter."
I must phone up Sophie. Sophie, guess what? Carla's like you.
I haven't told anybody this, but she's also an executive lesbian now.
Yeah. That's good. And even like, does Sean still work in the factory?
I just love that thing that Sally Devner does, where as Sally, she kind of like squares her shoulders and kind of like stands up a little bit straight when she's super excited about something. I can just see her being like, "Oh, Mrs. Connor's a lesbian."
What do you think? She knows that Sophie likes the older woman. I mean, so Paula wasn't. Was she older than? No, she wasn't older than Carla. But maybe Sally was thinking, "Sophie, get yourself back down here. Carla She's on the market, and
Um,
Sally would love the idea
matchmaking
of Sophie
perhaps is a
dating the
bit
boss.
Too far. I don't know.
Well, no, Sally would love it. She would not hesitate to try and put those two together.
I'm almost sure there should be, and if there isn't, please write this in, that if there ever is a temporary break, because we, God forbid, would never want Swallow to end, but if there ever was a break or a cooling off period, please, Sally, to mention that my daughter is single at the moment, because that would be really funny. Right, on Friday.
Although it would be a little bit awkward considering that Sophie was last dating Carla's sister Kate. But then
fine.
That's not
No,
stopped,
nobody
it's
cares.
not stopped the whole Nick, Leanne and Toya.
You can't do that. It's like imagine, it's kind of like Weatherfield is like the post-apocalyptic landscape where mankind must procreate with everybody and anybody to try to recreate the human race. I think that's what they're doing.
Right, okay.
Everybody has to sleep with everybody else to try to get the gene pool as diverse as possible. So
anyway,
on Friday, the officers are drawing blanks as to where Joel is. And don't forget, Swain's off the case. Kit's trying to organise what he's doing and is getting Craig to help. And I think Swain's like, oh, it's not gonna...
They've kind of gone back to there's only 3 police officers in the station, isn't
Where's
there?
Bostello?
Occasionally Bostello. I'm sure we had a scene a week or two ago where
There were loads of
that
people
room
with
was a
clipboards.
buzz. Still, I'm still waiting for McKinnon or Abney
I know.
I'm really sad that we might never see them again. I just want them to be in the background.
I want them to come back.
I think that a scene with all of those 3
That would be
together
so incredible.
Would be epic.
I just kind of want the like. I want there to be a professional women's guild of Weatherfield and just have like Swain, Abney, McKinnon,
and Fringe McBangs.
Fringe McBangs. We'd also have the Gaddis. We'd have Crawshaw. I just want them all in a room. I think you should let Yasmin in, even though she's not a librarian anymore.
Well, I mean, they're probably going to hold this meeting at speed dial, aren't they? Because there's only so many places that such an event can take place.
Yeah. I just would love that. I don't know what they'd talk about. How to get out of this show, probably.
I think they'd have a book club or something, wouldn't they? They seem like the sort.
They do seem like a book club
that
kind
read
of crowd.
rather than watching TV.
Yeah, nobody has a TV club, do they?
No.
Wait, so hang on a minute. This doesn't make any sense. Surely we can all be relied upon to watch television. Nobody reads the book in a book club.
Our Conversation Street Facebook group is our TV club, isn't it?
Yeah, welcome to the TV club, everybody.
Right.
We only talk about one TV show on this TV club.
But it does go on. There's
It
not
does
probably
go on a
room
bit.
for anything
Right,
else.
so it looks like she just looks suspicious. She's just watching him the whole time. And Kit eventually comes out and asks her straight, why are you so sure Joel is dead? Do you know something I don't? And she's like, I'm just following the clues. I've just watched this short. I've just Gemma and Michael did a very handy short, and I am sure that he's dead. I don't know what they're saying. I'm suspicious.
Yeah.
And he's like, widen the search area.
I don't really get what's going on there. He says to Craig, doesn't he? Because Craig
tell anybody.
seems like Craig's being worked to the bone to try and find Joel, but Joel's telling him to widen the search area. Kit is, sorry. Why would you do that if you were responsible for it?
I don't understand what. Of course you would. If you're responsible, you want to find him. Why are you confused about somebody asking somebody to look?
Why do you want to
harder?
find him though? No. I mean, if Kit's the one that done him in.
If I was Kit, right, and I knew I'd killed Joel, the first and last person I would ask to help me is Craig.
Because he's so useless.
I don't think he could find his arse in the dark, so I wouldn't be concerned about him finding Joel.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, so he's panicking, I think, here, and he's like, don't tell Swain, I'm leading this investigation. I decide what we do. So that's it.
So, who are you fingering if you are a... Sorry,
this is the old detective
if you're a
lingo.
Police officer, if you're a detective on the Joel case, are you thinking it's more likely to be Kit, or is it Swain? Could Betsy have done something and Swain's protecting her? Or is it somebody else?
Betsy's
Has
too
Ellie
wet.
bumped him off?
The thing is about this is that it's not I know that this is stupid to say, but it's not real. So you can't really use logic to work out who did it because they'll just make something up.
Who done it?
Who done it? Sorry, this isn't really a who done it though. This is the trouble about when
It feels
Corrie,
like it could be building.
Michael, listen. This is why it doesn't work when Corrie does it, because a who done it relies on lots of things that Coronation Street can't. Like, first of all, who done it is just about that, not about, you know, also Sally didn't take the bins out on Monday or whatever. It's also the characters are established and they have to go on after this storyline.
Which characters?
All the characters that are involved in it, unless one of them...
I think that honestly,
It's
Kit
not gonna
could
turn
have
out-
a very short shelf life. So
Yeah.
so could Swain.
I know, but this wouldn't be the same in a whodunit, would it? Because it's supposed to be somebody you don't expect, whereas the soap, that's not their concern. It's got to be somebody that can construct a reason, or somebody's going to leave the show.
Yeah,
it can't
which
turn
is why
out.
I think it could
but
be either
listen
of
to what
these
I'm trying
two,
to
or
say.
Betsy.
Yes, but this is what I'm trying to say. It can't be Carla. It can't be Roy. It's not going to be somebody we've never heard of either, is it? Because those characters aren't going to leave the show just to get rid of a fairly minor character in
No,
Joel.
but if you've got your three main suspects of Lisa, Kit, and Betsy, then none of those you're going to say, well, clearly it's not that person.
Well, it's not going
because
to
they're
be
not going to turn
Swain
them into
because
a
they're not
killer.
going to get rid of her now.
They could do.
But my point isn't that. My point is that it's not a real whodunit because soaps can't really do whodunits.
Well, if it does turn into a whodunit next week, just remember the main rule of soap whodunits is it's none of the people that ITV put forward as suspects.
Yeah.
It's somebody else. Just act surprised when it happens.
I can't believe it was Kit all along.
Well, we'll see. I'm kind of So
I hope it's Kit. Kind of like I hoped that Joel turned out to be evil. If it does turn out to be Kit, he'll go up in my estimation.
As far as we know, Joel could just like stroll into the station
I know,
on
I don't-
Monday's episode.
who
So
knows
sorry,
what-
I got COVID and I was self-isolating for the last week and a half.
I wouldn't
missed
put
me.
it past him to have done this Machiavellian villain plan.
Well, he was planning something, wasn't he?
I know, but it doesn't make sense that the hidden car was part of his plan. Although Coronation Street could still make that happen because, like I said, I don't think whodunits and soaps are logical. And there's always red herrings that they forget about that never get mentioned. There were loads of them in Stevens. There was loads of them in Pat Phelan's storyline. There's probably going to be loads of them here.
We'll see. I hope that the story veers more towards there because I was really into that on the last week's Monday episode when they found the car,
love Joel.
and it seems like that was put on the back burner a little bit for the simmering romance of Carla and Swain.
Oh my goodness!
And that could cool down for a little bit. It's not in the throes of passion, so let's get more onto this whodunit, and we'll come back to Swain later maybe.
I think this is going to be one of the longest podcasts we've ever done.
Quite possibly, but it doesn't matter. People like it. Right, so the Platt storyline. Bethany, David, Gail, Jesse Chadwick, Martin. Oh, no, not Martin, excuse me. What's been going on here
People are
this
not
week?
going to be happy about that either.
What?
When we first started out, right, and you were saying, oh, there's going to be a lot of controversial discussion here
Yeah,
and some
exactly.
people are going to get mad. I genuinely thought you were just talking about Martin.
No. There's a lot
Because
of controversy. You wait until the cabin section. Oh,
I don't care that Martin's not in it, and I'm actually glad that he's not.
that's a very controversial statement in itself because it seems like everybody on the internet kind of hates that Jesse Chadwick has come into the show this week, and everyone's saying it should have been Martin, and I just can't get on board with that. We did the cabin extra when this all came out in August, didn't it?
Yeah.
And you were very much in favour of Jesse coming back. Thought it could be a good opportunity to revive this character that didn't get much of a chance back then. Martin, obviously, you didn't like. I'm kind of enjoying Jesse this week. Would Martin have been better? Maybe. It could have been. He could have been better as in, oh, it's Martin. I remember him from back then. But honestly, I don't think, and I will stand by this, I don't think that Martin getting back together with Gail would have been a good look for Gail because
That's
he
what I said.
cheated on her more than once.
That's what I said.
And so, if they get back together, then she's just
But
kind of
they're not going
crawling
to now.
back.
They're not going to now.
No, they're not going to.
But that
now.
was my point. I said, apart from putting aside the fact I don't like Martin because he is unpleasant, her going back with him would have been regressive for her character and not a happy ending at all, because there, we know Jesse Chadwick is an unknown quantity with him and Gail. You know exactly what Martin's like with Gail because we've seen it for years. He's just an arse.
I think people have forgotten that, but equally we've forgotten the good things that they had together.
Look, and I'm not look if you're sad that Martin's not coming back, I can totally sympathise with you, and it would have made sense. It would have been a nice fitting kind of bookend for the character. It would have been satisfying in a narrative sense. Yeah, definitely all those things. And I know lots of people actually do like Martin.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
Yeah.
I think it's also, it's not. I think people get that it couldn't be Martin, and it's a massive shame what's happened.
Don't know what happened.
We do not know what's happened, and I really feel for the guys at Coronation Street who probably had to do an awful lot of last minute scrabbling around. We're going back to like how it was when Bruno Langley suddenly had to leave the programme. My gosh, that must have been chaotic.
This is worse than that.
This does feel even
worse. They had to
reshoot.
Than that. I don't think they reshot things.
No, I don't think they did.
I think they did
for
one
Bruno.
reshoot for Bruno where they had somebody in the car pretending to be him.
I don't remember. You might be right. That rings a little bit of a bell. But yeah, this would have caused absolute chaos. So fair play to Coronation Street that they have been able to rectify that utter train wreck. That I would not want it to have been in Kate Brooks' shoes when whatever happened meant that Sean Wilson...
she's not the acting... It's Verity McLeod who is the...
Yeah, but Kate Brooks is still, she was still working there in August, wasn't she? She's been working there since...
I know she's working there, but her episodes are not
she's not
screen
yet. But anyway. So I think people will understand that it couldn't be Martin, but it's the fact that it's Jesse that people are getting mad at and saying who's he, what a load of rubbish. The Gail never had any scenes with Jesse, and yes, I probably would have preferred for Trisha Hopkins to have come back as well, actually, to have had some nice lovely friendship scenes, but what can you do?
To be fair to the people that are saying, oh, what, Jesse, no, I do think that they would have said that even if Martin had never been in the picture.
Yes, yeah, probably. And also, obviously they had to do these last minute rewrites. I'm imagining that what we're getting with Gail and Jesse isn't a million miles away from what we would have got with Martin, because they couldn't. It was probably already a big enough endeavour to, just change what they've done already. But I think that going from what was clearly a kind of a secret romance sort of storyline to, Gail's mate from the 70s has come back, it would have completely changed it too much.
Yeah,
I don't think it would have been possible at that short notice, and there aren't many other men in Gail's life that it could have been, because most of them are dead.
Yeah, she killed them all. But I will say that I think that this is a stroke of genius getting John
Thompson
Thompson back as Jesse, because although he wasn't in it for very long, this guy is a veteran. He's been in loads of things. He's got a great, charismatic, likeable attitude.
I think so.
But the most exciting thing to me, and I really hope they make a big deal of this, is the fact that he is Eileen's ex. And Eileen and Gail have got a rivalry, and that is one of the defining features. If you're going to say what defines Gail and Coronation Street in, the sort of modern times, it's having loads of husbands and hating Eileen Grimshaw.
I mean, it was 20 years ago since the bust up on the cobbles, and I think she has got over it a bit since then.
I would love if this rekindled.
Ken and Mike didn't even have a grudge as long as this. I mean, their grudge was just under 20 years, I think, before they got held up together at the Fresco's siege. So I think some people are saying, they're kind of dredging this up from the past.
I don't think so.
But I don't really mind. I think it's quite
good.
fun. I did enjoy the scenes on Wednesday when Eileen was being a bit bitchy, and I don't usually like bitchiness in characters. I'm like, can't everybody just get on? But I thought it was kind of fun, and yeah, there's potential for some nice sparring scenes in the future, I think.
Can I give a quick... I mean, we haven't even said what's going on.
No,
yet.
Well, let's sure to do that.
Well, when we get to it, can I tell everybody who Jesse Chadwick is? Because I'm an expert now.
You are an expert, because you wrote a script on him and everything. So, of course, everybody knows, because everyone has listened to our amazing short. So, beginning of the week, Bethany's still in Turkey, but David's telling Shona and anyone who cares to listen that she's good to fly back tomorrow. Also, Gail's taken out a bridging loan so that Bethany can come home and get herself into Weatherfield General ASAP. Okay? So, later on, David's found out that Gail's within her rights to do whatever she wants with the house, because it turns out that Gail, she wants to put the house on the market, or has she put the house on the market already at this point? I can't remember. And so he's pretty peeved that they're being made homeless, basically. David's been living in that house for the best part of, 30 years, 35 years, so he doesn't want to be kicked out. Gail says, look, we've got no choice. She's telling Shona later, and Shona says, but David's been living it. He didn't want to move. Gail said, well, it's the only way. There's no other possible source of income. No secret criminal hold-ups that we can revert. I've just got to sell the house because it's going to cost 50+ grand.
Yeah. Can I also say that Gail in these scenes versus Gail with Jesse, night and day.
What do you mean?
Gail in these scenes, like, so miserable and like simpering Gail and drama Gail and blinking Gail, but Gail with Jesse is just.
That's really interesting
fun.
that you say that, because I thought that the Gail in these scenes was, not quite 80s, 90s power Gail. But I thought that she played it straight, and I'm just but not.
She's miserable in these scenes, and then she's not when Jessie turns up.
She wasn't miserable. She was just, we're in a serious situation here. Our family owes inordinate amounts of cash. I'm going to take control. Whereas what very much could have happened is Gail just being an absolute idiot, because we've all been watching her for the past 10 years. There has not been, I'm going to say, for me, a glimpse of buffoon Gail this week, and there's been a fair bit of Gail. So I'm so pleased that they kind of put her back to... Yeah, she's got her head screwed on, but I agree that when she's with Jessie and she's all kind of happy and lovesick and giggly, that's kind of sweet as well. And it's similar to what we got with Michael. When we heard that Jessie was going to come back, I thought, I hope they can make this relationship feel kind of realistic and something for us to fight for. And again, I know not everybody thinks that. We've read the messages saying, I don't like Gail and Jessie together. What a terrible idea this is, but I think they are quite sweet together as well.
Yeah.
So
you say Gail's not a buffoon, but I'm going to say that just like deciding to sell your house is really dumb for this.
Yeah, but it's not the same sort of buffoonery, is it?
I know, but why can't they all just take out a small loan? Why does she have to sell her house?
Gail just wants to be the biggest martyr.
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't have anywhere to live then, does she? You haven't solved a problem. You just created lots of new little ones.
What Audrey doesn't realise is Gail's probably got designs on Grasmere Drive, hasn't she?
She's probably like, yeah, my mum's going to die soon. I'll just move in.
Surely my mum's going to die soon. Anyway, so David gets home later. He finds Gail telling Shona they'll find out tomorrow if Bethany can fly.
No.
What?
Find out tomorrow if Bethany can
Bethany.
fly. Because Gail always calls her Bethany and everyone else calls her Bethany.
Which is her actual name, yeah. David says, look, sorry, I caused a load of stress. Bethany's the most important thing here. And the episode ends with Gail getting a mysterious phone call, which later transpires, obviously, to be Jessie.
One premium bond. Oh.
No, that was Ken.
Ken's still got
He's
those.
still harbouring those, isn't he? I notice he's keeping a bit quiet about that. Hang on a minute. He won £50,000 on the premium bonds. Bethany needs £50,000 to fly back from Turkey.
But also, when Daniel was like going, I'm just going to try and get Bertie's money, I need it. And Ken's like, don't. No, he was saying, Daniel was saying, I need to take the money out for Bertie. And Ken's like, yeah, no, don't do that because he needs the money. Why is that, Ken? Is he not going to inherit anything from you? You big dragon, your hordes of cash, just like Rita.
It's all going to Simon.
When Rita and Ken go on Coronation Street, the amount of assets that are going to get released is going to be incredible. Everyone's going to be driving around in Rolls Royces.
Yeah, or is it just going to completely change the rate of inflation in Weatherfield? There's going to be a little mini hyperinflation going there. Yeah. It's going to be like the Weimar Republic.
We're going to be putting wheelbarrows of cash on Dev's desk to try and buy a curly whirly.
Yeah, or a vape. Right, so Wednesday, this is the Jessie coming back episode. Gail's sounding a bit frantic on the phone to Jessie. She's like, you can't just turn up, they wouldn't understand. So David comes down.
She's talking about the viewers.
Oh my gosh, that is a bit of a yawn.
Did you get my joke? like.
What?
She's talking about the viewers.
David comes down and she's like, "Oh, it was Audrey." Lies.
You
girl.
can't just turn up.
This is part of the problem when it gets revealed to the audience. There's somebody coming back and here's who it is, because there was no mystery about this phone call, was there? There can't have been many viewers that didn't know exactly who she was talking about.
I don't know.
And I think the viewers who didn't know what she was talking about probably aren't that invested in the show, so they probably don't know who Jesse is when he turns up. So I kind of would have preferred
that I would necessarily have. I don't know. I know he did make a big impression on me. I would have known who he was. I take it back.
I'm going to say I wouldn't.
But
when I picture Jesse Chadwick...
Are you crazy?
I picture him in his General Custard outfit. I'd completely kind of forgotten what he looked like when he wasn't costumed up. And I think it was because there are so few like publicity shots of him on the internet. There's just him in his cowboy hat with his Confederate flag on the rim.
He was not in very many episodes.
He wasn't in many episodes, but he wasn't dressed up in costume for most of it. But that's how I picture him, because that's what I've mostly seen.
I'm sick and tired of Corey retconning him as a clown.
I know. I thought you were going to say that.
He is not a clown. He was never a clown.
Was it? He might have been sometimes a clown. I don't remember. But he was certainly a cowboy. No, was it a cowboy? Yeah, it was a cowboy. Most of the time. Why they're saying he was a clown?
I know why. Because he had in his... I'm surprised he didn't get flagged on YouTube. In our video, we had a picture of him wearing in his publicity shot as General Custard, and he has a Confederate flag on his hat. And, you know, that doesn't mean anything to us in this country, really. Perhaps now there's a bit more awareness of it, but it's not problematic particularly, except in very specific circles.
Well, it's not like he had a swastika on his hat, is it? I think that probably wouldn't have gone down too well.
We don't look at that here and go, oh no, how problematic. We go, oh, Americans. Whereas in America...
Always squabbling what they like, really.
In America, I know it's like a super racist kind of... Well, I mean, even saying that is quite controversial. There are people who view it in many different ways, but it is a very controversial thing, and I think that Coronation Street is also a bit squeamish about... Higher Lower, who was his...
I know.
His...
Well, I was worried that the internet, that our short might get
Assistant.
flagged because it's got a little picture of Eileen going whoa, on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, sorry, but okay.
Times were different 20 years ago. Well, it wasn't even 20 years ago, was it? It was about 15
Well, it wasn't
years
like
ago.
it's just a British thing either. Like, this was there are still very problematic depictions of Native Americans in America.
Yeah.
But, I mean, do we get a pass because we don't know what the hell we're talking about? I don't really think so, but
it
is just a bit of fun.
But I still think
God.
that Coronation Street this week could have said cowboy. There's nothing controversial about a cowboy.
No, I don't
but
think
instead
so.
they're just painting a picture, and it almost feels like they're mentioning it more often than you normally would, that he's a clown. Like, was it Audrey that said, or was it Steve? I don't recognise you without your red nose.
Yeah,
Like,
he never had a red
I
nose.
don't remember him having a red nose.
No.
He had a hat.
I
He
think
had a
they're just
fake
trying
moustache.
to
He had a
undermine him.
parrot.
They're trying to make his character stupid.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
But
because
General Custard, as stupid as it is.
I know. If anyone's got a picture of Jesse Chadwick as a clown and would like to post it to prove us wrong, I'd genuinely be interested, because that's not how I would picture him.
I did go through his whole backstory, and there wasn't any mention of what costume specifically he was wearing, so he could very well have dressed up as a clown. But I think we all, if you remember him at all, you remember him as a cowboy.
Yeah. Anyway, that got my goat as well. But maybe
he was not a clown.
So I've lost where we are. It's Ken's birthday. Happy 85th, Kenneth. And Daniel's there with him, feeling mega guilty about persuading Bethany to go over to Turkey for this job. He's like, did I push her to do this? Did I make her insecure about her looks? And Ken says, look, don't worry. There's no reason you shouldn't be at the hospital by her bedside later. You've done nothing wrong. And I don't think he has.
No.
Has he? Everyone was, for the purposes of making this happen, for one episode going, oh yeah, I'd like a bit of filler, or if I could have a plastic surgery, what would I get? It's not Daniel's fault, but I think it's perfectly natural for him to think that it's his fault. I think that's what the difference is. So anyway, Eileen's back.
Eileen's back.
We mentioned earlier that she's back and she's spatting with Gail, but we didn't say that this is the first time that we've seen her in a good long while. Jason's doing all right, apparently, so ask no more questions. What is he? He broke his back in the springtime, and he's all recovered now, so that's all right then. Don't ask me anything more about him.
Well, I like the way that she's come back, because she had to go over there because he had surgery, but he also had to pay for it because he's in Thailand and he didn't have any medical insurance, and she had to pay for him to have this operation. She's back going, what's all this fuss about Bethany and causing a ruckus about her medical thing? Can't you just go over there and sort it out like I did? I didn't have a drama and a storyline about it. I just dealt with it.
I just dealt with it quietly. Didn't
Got
moan,
with
didn't
it.
fuss.
No fuss,
Didn't
no
hear from me for 6 months.
hand wringing. I didn't sell my house. I didn't...
It was so good to see Eileen again. I do
like
love her.
Eileen.
I think Eileen's fantastic. She's such a great character. Anyway, Gail's back on the phone again later, telling her mystery caller that, look, I'm just worried about Bethany. I need time. But then Audrey comes in and Gail has to kind of put the phone down because this is a secret phone call. Meanwhile, Bethany's landed. She's back in the UK. I'm sure we got a bit of a funny bit of film stock when they showed her being wheeled into Weatherfield General, but she's out cold.
She's had her £50,000 flight. I hope she had champagne.
Yeah, no, she had plenty of leg room for that.
Yeah.
And her choice
I tell you
of
what,
films.
Being able to lie down on a plane, that is the height
That
of
is luxury, isn't it? Yeah, we don't all get that.
No.
So she's awake later, and the doc's telling Sarah Louise, look, we need to focus on Bethany's sepsis at the moment. She needs to get better from that. But she should be fine, though.
She should be fine, and it's also free.
Sarah's left with her daughter. Daniel knocks at the door, and Sarah Lou's like, you shouldn't have too many visitors. The last time that they saw each other, she
kicked him out.
Yeah, basically.
She's being a bitch.
She was giving him a bit of a flea in his ear about the fact that he's maybe responsible for her being here, and she found out that he'd been off with old Daisy in the pub when he wasn't picking up the phone call. So she's still, pretty cool with him in a bad way. And he says, well, I don't care, I'm staying.
Yeah.
She's my girlfriend. So the pair end up having a bit of a bicker across the bed. Bethany's there just below them lying down watching on. She's like, I'm not deaf. So Sarah says, okay, look, you two have a bit of space. I'm not happy about it, but you do need to talk this out.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why did the Turkish hospital and the doctors tell Sarah that they couldn't leave the country until they paid for their bill? And that was one of the main reasons why they were wringing their hands and saying, we have to get this money immediately.
Yeah.
But they obviously haven't paid it because...
Well, they might have. Why haven't they?
Because Gail hasn't sold her house yet.
No, but she's got her bridging loan.
What's a bridging loan?
I don't really know. I just covered it down what they said.
A bridging loan,
Is it a loan for... you can borrow it for a bit just in the interim period. I can see you started doing something.
Okay, all right, I forgive it then.
Well, I don't know. I'm just guessing. That kind of makes sense
I
to
thought
me.
we had a bridging loan one time when we bought a car.
No clue. But it doesn't matter. That's how they were able to pay for it. Anyway, so Bethany does not go easy on Daniel because the story about him being with Daisy starts to come out there. And
You've got other problems, love.
Don't want to be with her, honestly. I do think that Daniel was, looking back on it, maybe not the wisest move, jumping straight over to his ex-girlfriend's place of work the moment that Bethany is sunning herself in Turkey. But never mind, I don't necessarily blame him for not picking up the phone, and she was the one that was coming on to him at the end of the day. He said, look, I was terrified when I heard you were in hospital, along with Bertie, you're my world. He says he loves you, and I said,
how much money did you pay, Daniel?
Not here out of pity, not here out of obligation. I proper love you, Bethany, so what do you say? Don't think we're here because Gail's with Bethany later. And again, this was a really nice Gail scene. There was no stupidness. It was just lovely, light-hearted family moments, and Gail was being very sympathetic and normal. Fantastic. So she says, look, you have got so many people caring for you. They're all fighting for your affection. They're all just pleased that you're home. And Bethany's like, oh, cheers for the loan, Gran. Gail's like, all right, thanks very much, never mind. And Bethany says, I've been really stupid. Bethany's so down on herself this week, isn't she? You must be so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I can't remember whether she knows.
Awful.
Does she know that everybody knows about the liposuction yet? Liposuction. I'm hearing both being said. Okay, fine.
Mints.
So she's worried that people are going to be talking about her, and she's all brought it on herself.
Well, this is so frustrating too, because it's like she didn't bring it on herself. She had sepsis and she had an operation that she didn't need. Loads of people do it. Loads of people do this.
I don't necessarily blame her
Right,
for
so
this.
here's
I
my
know it's something
question.
that people do,
One
but
thing-
she should have told the insurance company.
Oh, right,
that is
fine,
all
whatever,
on her.
Whatever. But my thing is, everyone keeps going, oh, because she's so dumb, she had liposuction. Okay, right. So, is it because she's thin already?
Yes.
So but if I had liposuction, right, and then had sepsis and had a stoma bag, would everyone be like, oh, that poor fat cow, she did need it. Do you know what I mean? Is it just because she's thin already? Because we really can't believe that we like good looking thin young people have hang ups about their bodies.
Yeah, I get what you mean, but well,
if she'd had something else done, like I don't know, a jawbone chiseled or something, everyone would be going, yeah, you did have a weak chin though, so. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not that I think she has a weak chin.
No,
she doesn't. But I'm trying to think of like what your ears are too small, so you had her ear expander, and one of your ears dropped off.
Look, anyway, next scene is when we got Jesse getting out of his taxi, just as Eileen happens to be walking out of her house, of course, because why wait longer than 2 seconds for this two to meet up again? She recognises him straight away. He recognises her, although I'm going to say Eileen looks a heck of a lot different than she did 15 years ago. But I suppose she was coming out of number 11, so it was a bit of a clue.
Tweakments.
Eileen?
I don't know, is she?
I don't think she's
Everyone's
had
tweakments. I just like saying tweakments because it kind of annoys me.
Yeah, you don't like it. So they get into a bit of a bicker off and a snipe.
Wow, let me explain who Jesse Chadwick is.
Oh, right,
just very quickly. So
if you didn't know, if you've not listened to our video,
Jesse Chadwick was a children's entertainer / electrician who had a relationship with Eileen Grimshaw after he turned up to do a party for Amy Barlow's birthday.
No, it was a Christmas party.
For Amy Barlow's Christmas party. And he turned up without his assistant, his higher lower, who was his wife, who decided to leave him.
Higher lower was I think she was like,
squaw.
Yeah, I think he was the straight man in the act, and everybody loved higher lower, and now he hasn't got her anymore,
yeah.
So he's up
he didn't
the
know
creek.
what to do, and so Steve consoles him and then asks Eileen to take the role, and everybody loves it. And then she meets up with him later. She sort of pursues him a bit, and then he's got a really domineering mum, and he's like under the thumb of his parents. And he also hires Julie, who is Eileen's half sister, Julie Carp, to be his assistant. Eileen gets jealous, makes him fire her. And then he hires her back.
How many times have you watched our short? Because this is almost word for word, the script.
Well, I wrote it.
I know, it's good.
So, you're putting me off now. I can't remember what happened.
Well, then he wins money at the bookies, doesn't he?
Well, he wins money at the bookies, and he decides to take his parents to Egypt or something. And Eileen gets annoyed because she wanted to go on holiday with him, and she kicks him out of the house. Well, first of all, that's what I was going to say. He gets kicked out of his house by his mum, and he moves in with her, and he has a parrot called John, and John the parrot hates Eileen. And then she kicks him out after he won't take her on holiday. Then he comes back, calling back to win her back, and Eileen decides that she's going to give him another chance, but he doesn't know that she's going to give him another chance, and he goes to kiss Julie Carp, and then Julie tells Eileen, and they both kick him out. And that's the last time we ever see him.
What's happened, yeah. So I think that they were overplaying a little bit this. He's a massive cheat.
He did try to kiss Julie, but he thought it was over with Eileen.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
She kicked him out. And then he came back to ask her to take him back, and she said no. Then he tried to kiss Julie.
It works for the narrative of the episodes that, because everybody's suspicious of Jesse, and Audrey's saying, oh, Gail, you shouldn't be going with him, he's one. But, hasn't literally everybody living on that street had an affair at some point? Jesse should fit right in. And I think it is very hypocritical of the residents of Weatherfield to be down on poor Jesse just because he strayed, his eyes were turned by the lovely Julie Carp. But never mind. But anyway, Eileen is fuming to see him, and when he left, he was literally being kicked out the street by.
Well, she's just
by
mad.
Her and her
yeah,
sister.
she's mad at him, and
Yeah.
she's got a right to be mad, I guess, if anyone has.
And he says, "Look, I'm around here to see someone," and she's like,
Not
"What,
you."
me? No, not you, Gail." Speaking of which, Gail then comes walking up. She's all done with Bethany at the hospital. She's back on the street, and they have a bit of a hug. Now, at this point, I was a bit confused. So they weren't like officially a couple here, were they?
No.
That all comes out on Friday, but I think because I'd seen in the spoilers about Jesse coming back, because I couldn't help but reading some of them, I saw that he and Gail were going to be an item. I kind of read into it that it was clear to everybody that they were definitely a thing there, but apparently it was still a bit secret at this point. So anyway, they all go inside, and Eileen's just kind of left sneering and shaking her head at this pair. But don't blame you if your nemesis is going out with your ex.
Well, George isn't impressed either, because he's standing there like a slab of bacon or
He's
something.
like, I am here actually, Eileen.
Yeah.
Eyelash. So Bethany tells Daniel and Sarah, who are back in the room with her later at the hospital, about why she got this liposuction. And she says, look, I just thought I'd lose a little bit of belly fat. I didn't think it was anything massive that I was doing. I was talking with somebody at the cosmetic clinic about the article. Before I knew it, they were drawing all over me with Sharpie and laying me down on the table. So who was I to refuse? So
I don't need to hear any more about why she did it, because I think it's...
I get it.
You either get it or you don't at this point. You've been told a million times. If you still can't really understand it, then you never will.
Exactly. So Audrey comes round to number 8 later. She's heard about all the gossip from Eileen, and she is not impressed that Gail's taken up with this guy, who by all accounts is a bit of a cheat. What's going on, she says. Turns out, the story goes, that we've done a little bit of a retcon here. And remember when Gail went to Thailand 3 years ago? Well, it just turned out that Corrie coincidental encounters don't just happen outside Victoria Gardens,
No.
but they're international. These two characters who both had Eileen in common, happened to meet up with each other over in Thailand then. They had a bit of a holiday fling, and they've been in touch ever since as definitely platonic friends. Jessie makes it clear in today's episode. And these life drawing classes that have been dripped into the scripts over the last few months have actually been a ruse, because Gail's been going to see Jessie saying it was this. Now, I can't remember the first time that these life drawing classes were mentioned, but do you think the first time that they were put into the script, it was, this is to cover for the fact that Gail was going to be seeing Martin in secret? Yeah. But if that was the case, why would Martin be back over in England without telling anybody?
Without telling his children.
Yeah. So I don't know about that. I'm fascinated by how different this story would be. I need to know. I desperately need to know what would have actually happened and how it would have been different. But I don't think we're ever going to find out.
Maybe somebody will write a memoir.
Maybe they will. Anyway, Audrey's saying, Eileen and Jessie, it didn't go well for them. Gail, you'd be best off without him. And Gail's like, we're not an item. Don't chill your boots, ma'am. And Audrey's like, I don't believe it, and swans off.
Also, notice how Audrey didn't offer to sell her house.
Yeah, that's true. That is very, very true. She could afford to downsize.
Honestly,
she's a single old lady knocking about in a mansion on Grasmere Drive.
That's enormous. Their front room alone is bigger than our old house used to be. She does not need all that space.
No.
She could live in a nice little apartment. Who was it Esther Hayes could teach her a thing or two about moving to an efficiency apartment.
Yeah, she could. Mm-hmm. I wonder whether Gail's got out this bridging loan and is saying she's buying the house because she's just secretly hoping that Audrey will swoop in and say, don't worry about it, lovey, I'll sell my house. And Gail's like, I've gone in too deep now, I can't back out of this, can I? Okay, so Friday's episode comes round. There's a bit more Bethany. You said earlier that you quite enjoyed seeing how Bethany is coming to terms with having her stoma and the sepsis.
That was the most interesting part of the story, rather than...
I just kind of
Sarah.
I need her to get out of hospital now. I feel that we're circling the same kind of scenes with Bethany, just feeling a bit miserable for herself and causing drama between Daniel and Sarah. It's getting a bit repetitive at this point. But anyway, David tells Bethany that no one else knows about a stoma at the moment, only Daniel. So just waiting for next week for everybody to find out about it.
I don't know if
unless everybody knows. I don't know.
Why do people need to know?
Well, They
I'm
can't
sure
raise
they will
awareness
find
of
out.
it if nobody knows.
They will. I'm sure
Raise
they will
awareness
find
of
out.
it if nobody knows.
They will. I'm sure they'll find out. I know, but the thing is, though, there's raising awareness, and then there's making people think, oh, if I get a stoma, it's going to be like Bethany on Coronation Street, and everyone's going to find out and make fun of me.
Mm.
Like, let's be realistic, okay? In real life, if you had a stoma and everyone found out, they'd just be really awkward about it, and they wouldn't mention it. Whereas in Coronation Street, like, either some people are going to be weird about it and then they'll be lectured into not being weird about it, or everyone will say how brave and wonderful she is, or something like that. I don't think it's going to be realistic. Like, I don't know the toilet arrangements of the vast majority of people that I know. They could all have stoma bags for all I know.
Well,
I know it's tough and it's not that easy.
I think that if they want to raise awareness of it more, they kind of need to show it. Because so far, there's not really an idea of what a stoma looks like.
We have to see it.
I think that we will. I think a prosthetic stoma would be kind of very easy for a makeup department to just plop onto her side there. Because it's just like a little nub, isn't it? Like a purpley pink nub that comes out your side. That's very easy. And they could have a bag there. And I think
seeing a bag would make more sense.
Yeah, but the stoma was just the bit the bag attaches to, isn't it? And you see these pictures because when that person, what we know, who's got a stoma has got one, we were reading materials about it, and there's like all these models in the magazine saying, "Oh, I've had a stoma and I can still live my life to the fullest," kind of thing.
Yeah, it's like when.
And so I think that we need a scene at some point of Bethany being, "Oh, I'm so empowered, I can have a bop around at the bistro with my bag flapping."
Not your bag flapping.
But they do need to show it because it's all a bit. It doesn't need to be full or anything, but I think that would be worth it if they want, because there's probably are honestly some viewers who are like, I don't really get what's going on here. Yeah. And it would be character development, I suppose, for Bethany, because at the moment she's very ashamed of herself for getting this and she's embarrassed about it. And I think that Bethany has been such a feisty sort of character that it would make sense for her at some point to just own her bag and show that I can exactly, this is great for me. I can write a 1,500 word piece about this.
The way Bethany
in Chit Chat magazine.
They wouldn't do this because I think they want to keep her around, but you know, Bethany, the way she's been, what?
Do you think that do you think there's a magazine called Stowe Magazine?
No, I
that's
don't
who
think
she
so.
could write for.
But the way she was with, getting her journalism career kicking off, she wrote that article that everyone loved, and suddenly she's got a million offers to do loads of things, and now they want her to write about air fryers. But Bethany, in that kind of world, is definitely the sort of person who would become a spokesperson for stomas. He would go on television talking about it, be on GMT or whatever, what is it called?
It's called Morning Britain.
Whatever it's called, or The One Show, or Radio 4, or whatever. She'd be all over the place. She'd be in Big Brother, being the stoma girl in Big Brother. She'd be...
Well, they had a stoma girl in
The Traitors.
In The Traitors, yeah.
Before.
She totally would. We'll get there with her. But it's completely understandable and natural.
I know, but the thing about that is that that's equally not a helpful thing, because not everybody can be the face of stomas in Great Britain. There's got to be some kind of normal way to live your life with a stoma that doesn't revolve around media appearances talking about having a stoma bag.
Very true. Okay, look, back to Jessie. There was a funny scene. Well, it wasn't funny. It was just a bit awkward funny, where
I thought it was funny.
Shona encourages Jessie to sit down with David and Sarah at the moment, who are all just kind of a bit embarrassed about the whole thing. Shona's been great with this.
They were being really weird and they were like acting like this was the first time their mums ever had a partner or a man around who wasn't their dad.
Yeah, I didn't really get what the embarrassment was.
They were being really mad. They were kind of really hostile towards him.
They're suspicious of him.
Yeah.
Why would you fancy my mum?
I know, she's an idiot. She ordered so many olives, is still eating them.
So they want to know what Jesse's doing here, and he says, look, Gail went silent, and this was obviously because the Bethany stuff was going on. I wanted to know what was up, so I came over, and that was it. And they don't buy this. They're very suspicious of his motives.
Well, he has to admit that he fancies her.
Yeah, he's like, well, I fancy your mum. I don't think he says those exact words, but that's the general gist of it. And I'm not going anywhere until she tells me that I'm not wanted.
Is that his new character's name?
What?
General gist of it.
We also have in today's episode a few bits between Adam and Sarah, which I wasn't too fussed about, really. It was all kind of her telling him, oh, we got so much money problems, if only we had a secret stash of money somewhere that we could use to magic away all our problems. And he's like going, oh, I know a little bit about that. So he ends up admitting that Damon phoned her the other week offering her a big wad of cash.
And he deleted the message.
And he deleted the message.
And he
afterwards,
doesn't
that's why
say
she doesn't know.
that he took the money. He just said, Damon offered this money to you.
Yeah, exactly. So Jesse later has a little scene with Steve in the pub, and again I was thinking, oh, that could have been Steve and Martin. Back in an original
I know, but
version
it
of it.
makes sense too, because Steve was one of the first people Jesse met when he came in the show.
Yeah. There can't be too many people left there now who were still in it back then. So I hope that there is a little bit of reconnection with the others and it's not just Steve and that's all. But anyway, Steve's like, I don't hold a grudge against you, I don't care.
You being around all the time.
Yeah, so I think that Jesse pairing up with Steve as a friendship could be quite nice. And Jesse tells him that he loves Gail and about the meeting up in Thailand and everything. And we've had a great platonic relationship since then, but I kind of want it to be a little bit
more. Yeah, baby.
Yeah. So Sarah is pretty mad at Adam. Meanwhile, she says, look. He says, well, I couldn't have taken the money. She says, do you have this money just sitting there? Like, no, this was stolen money. This would have been illegal, which is kind of interesting considering that he has taken it himself.
I know, and
we still don't know what he's done with the majority of it.
I can't believe he thought he'd get away with her not finding out that he took it.
I know. He says, well, yeah, I went to see Damon in prison and he seemed pretty desperate for help. So, and Sarah eventually starts to cool down a little bit and says, well, maybe it's for the best that it all worked out this way. Later on, Gail's joined them. That is Steve and Jesse. And before long, Jesse's asking for a bit of privacy, which he uses to tell Gail that he's absolutely nuts about her. And she seems pretty happy with all this. So I guess they're going out now.
I know this is going to be really soon for a lot of people. I know it is. I didn't care at all. This has happened so many times with other people that suddenly... And I'm not really a massive fan usually of, like, but it all happened when you weren't looking stories, which is what this is.
Yeah, but it was a kind of case, you
got to go with it. But also...
Because you wouldn't have needed this big build-up had it been Martin.
If we're going forward with a story that's basically... altered Martin's story, you've got to start from them being in a relationship and being in love with each other and having rekindled their relationship or whatever.
Yeah, when I heard about it, I was thinking, I don't really buy that, but actually sitting and watching it is like, that's fine.
Watching it, they sold it so well, those two actors.
I think they did.
And I also totally do believe that at Gail's time of life, given her background and her luck with men, that if she found, like, number one, she's certainly one to jump in a bed if it's warm.
Yeah.
Right. Number two, she's seeing a chance of happiness and she's taking it. Because although we do make fun of Audrey for calling her flighty or whatever, Gail's completely inherited her mum's, like, wackiness for just jumping in bed with men. Mm-hmm. They're both floozies.
Totally are. We had a little another scene at the hospital later where Bethany's like, "Oh, Daniel, I want you to go. We can't go out anymore.
Don't be my friend."
Yeah, you want
Save
more
yourself.
than me. So well, whatever. That's going to come back next week, so we'll talk about it then. Meanwhile, over at number 8, Jesse's been invited round for tea by Gail, and David is just like, "Oh, I don't like this." And they sit down on the sofa afterwards to Gail and Jesse, and they confess their love to their family and just watch it. Like, Shona's there, like, "Oh, that's so sweet," and Sarah's like, "Oh." And David can't hide his weasel-faced look of disdain about this whole thing. And Gail says, "Well, get over yourselves and get on board." And I think that might have been a message to the viewers.
I know. Also, the David and Shona talk about buying the house, but they can't afford it.
Oh yeah, they talk a bit about that. There's a nice scene with David and Nick later on where they're talking about Jesse, because I think we missed the scene earlier where Jesse didn't write it down, maybe, where Jesse meets Nick in the street. And Adam, he's starting to meet all the main players in the story.
Also, he's there because he's got a job doing the wiring.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Victoria
Yeah.
Court one of those apartments.
Yes, handy. At night, Sarah calls Damon in his cell.
She's like,
she just can't help but crawl back to her. A little bit of rough.
Damon, I can't believe I'm talking to you. Oh, we shouldn't talk. You're in jail. You're so naughty. Are you in prison right now? Oh,
It
Damon.
was a bit like that.
I know. I was watching it again, going, here she goes again.
Yeah,
here
it was
she
a
goes
total
again.
here she goes
You know,
again.
I just said,
Don't
Gail,
have any sympathy for her.
Audrey,
Brings it on
floozy.
herself.
Sarah, floozy.
Yeah.
Bethany, probably a floozy too. The whole lot of them. The
Yeah.
whole line.
It's in the genes.
All the genes. Just floozy genes.
Anyway, look, Damon just is a little bit concerned when she reveals to him that she didn't take his cash, because as far as he knew, this
Well, he
vault
says it's gone.
is open and empty, and so where's this stolen money gone from the bank job? And
How ironic.
They're both like, oh my gosh, where could it be? Adam must have taken it.
Damon's
Is the
like,
cliffhanger
Adam's
for the end of
taken
the
it.
episode. So there we go. That was that story. I thought it was fine. I'm no fan of Damon coming back. I do wish they'd just sail him off to the other side
Australia.
of the world and leave him there. Yeah, exactly.
Don't they have prisons in Australia he could be in?
The Bethany story was very much her just being rightfully miserable with the situation. But yeah, the Jesse stuff, didn't bother me.
No, I liked it. Good for him.
Yeah.
And you can't. I don't know what to say, because I have stories I hate and things that go away I don't want them to go, and I moan about it all the time. So moan away, I guess.
Yeah, you feel free to moan. Go for it.
Yeah.
Right. We need to. You're right. This is running very long today. So
Right.
Stu, Mason, Logan. We have a new Radcliffe on the block. Although we only saw him for about 10 seconds in tonight's episode. What's going on there?
Mason's got a college course, and he also is hanging out with Betsy again, and he kind of threatens her a little bit, and then they kind of like make friends, and he doesn't go to college, and then
Drama.
on Wednesday
Didn't he go to college?
Yasmin confronts him about not going to college.
Oh yeah, Sorry, he ends up having a bit of a sit on the swings with Betsy, doesn't he, on Monday?
Yeah. So on Wednesday, Mason is like actually seems to be knuckling down a little bit with enjoying working, but he gets a phone call that he ignores, and Eileen's not happy that he's there and thinks he should do one, and then Mason comes back after being at college, and he says, "Oh, I made a nice sauce," and they him and Stu like are going to do a sauce off together, but then Stu realises that Mason's got a crowbar in his bag, and ends up confronting him, and
yeah, he says that his brother's organised a job later. They're gonna go
do a robbery.
Yeah,
and he goes, "All right, I won't go, but how am I gonna get over this with Logan?"
There's also the scenes with Eileen coming round to see Yasmin, and the idea is put into Yaz's head that maybe he's being a little controlling. He's saying, well, Mason can come and stay with us, and she's not too happy about that, although she's kind of comes round to the idea here and there, and Eileen saying, this guy, you gotta, I think it was her that was saying it, you gotta be careful with him, you don't want another Jeff on your hands.
On Friday, Stu's going to go to Germany to visit that kid, I've forgotten her name.
Eliza.
And he sees Logan, and he goes to like tell him to bugger off, but he drives away. And then
what did you? I know we said we're running late, but you don't have to go like through like an express train.
Do it fast.
So Logan is played by Harry Lowbridge,
Yep.
who's been making a big thing on Instagram this week about, hey, I'm starting in Coronation Street, as well he should.
I would.
So I certainly
He never
would.
shut me up about it.
Yeah, he follows him. He follows us. We follow him, and I was really looking forward to seeing what he was like, because I think it was about a week or so ago they put a publicity shot of Logan, and they've captured.
We look scary.
They've captured what I would expect and want from
Mason's
a brother of
evil
Mason
brother.
just perfectly. He definitely had what's it called, Paul Robeson estate vibes. He was a chip off the old block of the likes of Callum,
etc.
I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what he gets up to next week when he
He's already
finally
thrown a brick
appears.
through a
But
window.
he's got a lovely yellow car. Is about all I can say about him at the moment.
What a zoom zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so Mason's like, oh, I'm going to college. I'll go to the shop for you, Yasmin. And Yasmin's like, oh, he's getting his act together. How helpful. Then Gary and Adam are outside number 6 because they've discovered a brick has been thrown through the window. So Yasmin
I
and
blame
Stu...
Ardy. He's got form.
Yeah, true.
Is it a little is it a little ornament that came from, what was it, Thorpe Park or something that you chucked through the prima donna last year?
It's Ardy's golf trophy.
Yeah.
What's that doing? He must have run out of ammunition. Right, so Yasmin and Stu come running up, and Yasmin's like, "It was you, Gary. You're evil."
So she thinks it is Gary because Gary's not happy that they're harbouring
Mason.
their son's nemesis.
Yeah. So he says, "No, it wasn't me. It was probably Mason, don't you think?" And Stu's like, "Yeah, you know it's not Gary, Yasmin." And so back at speed dial, Stu tells Yasmin he hasn't told the police about this yet. And she's like, "Why haven't you?" And he says, "Well, I think I know who did it. It was probably Mason's brother, Logan." And she's like, "Why haven't you told me about this? We need to phone the police." And Stu says, "We can't phone the police because Mason's involved in some kind of plan to rob somewhere, and I don't want him to get into trouble. And it's Logan. Logan's menacing him because he didn't do it." So she's really mad, and she's like, "Oh, yeah, I'm not going to be dictated to by another man." I hate it when she does this. She does this almost every time she has an argument with a boyfriend of hers.
I thought that she got over it. It felt like
deaf.
a while since she's accused somebody of being like deaf. And I know that a situation like she went through would have very long-term effects. But it's a bit, come on, change the record,
right.
Jasmine.
The problem I have with it is not that it would be... Because I agree, it would be a completely logical trauma response by somebody who'd gone through something like Yasmin has gone through. My problem with it is that it just makes her look hysterical and stupid.
It really does.
It's not done sympathetically at all. It just feels like the writers are going, "Oh, I know it could cause some drama here." She says it reminds her of Jeff.
Yeah.
It doesn't really serve the character, or it doesn't really honour the trauma that she's gone through, in my opinion, but other people might feel differently.
Yeah.
And that's the whole story of today's episode of this podcast.
Yeah.
Some people might feel differently.
Did you feel that she was overreacting to Stu's behaviour?
Well, I mean, you know, she's right to say, "Look, my house has been broken into now. Somebody smashed my window because of you, and you decided that you weren't going to tell me. And I was in danger and I didn't know about it." That's not really fair, is it?
Yeah, I mean, she's not wrong that trouble follows Mason around. I have quite enjoyed, in a way, the little relationship, the friendship that's formed between Mason and Stu. It's quite cute, really, I suppose. But
I think
I'm always going to pick Yasmin's side over Stu just because I like the character more. So.
Well, you know, when Mason comes back from his shopping trip, he's all like, "La la la la, what's wrong?" And then Yasmin has to go at him and says, "You didn't rat on your brother. Now we're a target." And a brick's gone through the window. And Mason says, "Sorry, I guess I should move out then." And she says, "Yeah." And then Stu's like, "Oh no."
It feels. I wonder whether like Stu's gonna offer to take Mason to Germany with him or something, and they'll just end up staying in Germany together, like, or I don't know. Not too exciting, really. Is there a great demand for English chefs who can cook Indian food in Germany? I'm so bored of the dialogue in Speed Dial. All they see, if they want to have a Speed Dial scene between the two of them, it seems like half of the scenes there start with somebody saying, "Oh, what shall I make as my special tomorrow?
I know, they're
I
always
think I'll have a
talking
nice
about
tikka
their
masala. Oh, what a great
specials.
idea." Anyway, what's
They
this scene
don't have
about?
chicken tikka masala in a Pakistani street food restaurant.
I don't know what.
Well, they probably do in
It's Coronation Street. Yeah, I don't. I know that she's been working there for a while, but I did prefer Yasmin when she wasn't the chef of the street.
I don't mind it. What's the difference between that and Carla being like, "Sarah, we got to get the orders out. You haven't stitched the gussets properly." There's no difference.
I know.
Just
contrary.
Yeah.
So what's been going on at number 9? State with a vape. Ruby's in a right narc with Fizz, and Hope really on Monday, because she'd got her hopes built up that she was going to have a little brother or sister, but now the Fizz is having a termination, and this
Well-
just happened by the second scene, and me and you were watching each other going, has she had it? Has she been? Because usually when Coronation Street character goes through that, they do like to draw out the drama, don't they, and show them there in the clinic and maybe having second thoughts. But
this
no,
is,
it was
like
just
I said,
over and done with.
You know, I said before, I think it was a good story either way, but I think it's quite powerful in a really understated way that Coronation Street has done a story where a woman who has a family has made a tough decision to have a termination and then hasn't, you know, had scene after scene after scene of her atoning for this choice. And we had, who was it that did, was it Amy who had a termination without really thinking about it?
Yeah, I think so.
We've seen this a couple of times with Coronation Street, and I think, you know, lots of different people have different attitudes towards it, but I think that there have been lots of fictional hand-wringing over abortions and the like in soaps for years. So I think it is about a bit of balance here to have. And loads of women have terminations and regret them and wish they hadn't done it or had to do it and they realise they've made a hard choice. But in Fizz's case, I think she just was being practical.
I think so.
And a lot of women do have that attitude, and it doesn't make you a bad or good person, no matter what choice you make. And it's refreshing to see somebody just kind of go, yeah, I had to do it.
But she's still kind of sad. She's not like, whatever. She's
She's
still sad
sad
about it.
She's
And I think
sad.
that Jenny McAlpine, well, everybody involved in that played it just right, really. I had been really excited about the prospect of them having a baby, but I can see through their performances that the characters felt that it was right for them, and well, fine.
I just really
accept
like the
that.
way they've handled this.
Yeah, I do as well, and I've enjoyed all the kind of the drama that's been offshooting from it as well, which is still related to Hope's vaping, basically.
Ruby
But
blames Hope for this because she said if you hadn't caused all this trouble, then Mum would have kept the baby.
yeah, fair reaction, and not 100% away, 100 miles away from the truth, but never mind.
Well, you can't say that.
Well, it,
No.
it played a part, didn't it?
Well, let's not
Played a part.
go into that.
Fine, okay. Ruby sees that Hope's still got a vape later, and Hope's I don't care. I'll do what I want. So Wednesday comes around. Girls are still bickering, and Tyrone says to Fizz, "Look, I think Ruby thinks this termination is all Hope's fault, to be honest." There's a scene in the cafe later with Cassie and Fizz. Fizz isn't feeling 100% after the procedure on Monday, and says
This is
that
something you
I
don't
think
get very much of either. Like a woman in fiction, and it's not necessarily a termination or abortion story, like saying, yeah, I'm ill. It's caused me physical pain. And
Yeah, look at Toya. She was cartwheeling down the street after she had her operation a few months ago. But you're right.
Well, I don't know what procedure that she had, but I don't know anything about what you feel like afterwards. This is the first time I've really considered it, and she's saying I feel a bit crap.
Yeah.
I don't know what I thought would happen. To be
Yeah,
honest with you.
Fizz is kind of worrying about the fact that they've told the girls about the abortion, and this has just caused anxiety and friction between them. And Cassie says, "Look, you did the right thing for your family." I think even that was a quite
That was very
interesting
mature.
topic
Yeah.
to cover. I'm kind of erring on the side of I think she did do the right thing, telling the girls, rather than lying about it, which I think had been an option to say. Because wasn't her original reaction last week to say, "Oh, it was just a false alarm. I was never pregnant in the first case." That would have come out, wouldn't it, eventually?
In a soap.
And especially Hope is old enough to understand it. I can't remember whether it was Tyrone maybe that was saying that they teach them all sorts at school these days. I think she's old enough to handle it.
Fizz is the mum, and she decided, and she and Tyrone are the only people that really have a choice, have a say in it. So they decided.
Yeah. There's another nice romantic-y spag-bollish scene between Tyrone and Fizz later, and yet another scene of Hope hiding a vape. This is when she puts it inside the little bureau cabinet thing on the fourth wall in the living room of number 9. So Friday comes, and Hope's quite perturbed to find out that Mrs. Crawshaw is going to be coming around for a house visit later, because Of course, that's what head teachers do. She
So
doesn't
she's
get anything
been
better
suspended.
on. She's been suspended for her flagrant vaping. I mean, that's a pretty hard line. I wonder how many other kids have fallen foul of Crawshaw's zero tolerance anti-vaping rules, because I tell you what, everyone's probably doing it, as far as I can tell. Massive proportion of teens are got secret vaping habits, and I think it's terrible.
It's
and
so funny.
I've ranted about this before on the podcast, just how awful the vaping companies are for, I think, clearly targeting children.
I'm going to say it's so funny because, like, when we were at school, there was definitely kids who smoked, and you know the proportion of smokers in general was pretty high. And now the amount of people that smoke is so low. And you would have thought it's going to die out. Nobody's going to be smoking, you know, in 50 years' time or whatever. And then vaping's just come, and now everybody's just doing it, and nobody's thinking, and it just feels exactly like what happened with smoking, when everyone was like, "No, it's good, it's healthy. Doctors smoke, it's brilliant."
And I kind of feel bad saying about it, because I'm sure some of our listeners are vapers, some of our friends vape. Some of the people, many of the cast of Coronation Street vape. It's a very natural thing. So I wonder how awkward it is for them to be doing this storyline. That's what
I always think that, because they do act like it's the worst thing in the world, and no one would ever do it. They don't show anyone vaping socially or recreationally on Coronation Street,
or to try and quit the fags.
No, they don't. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just an addiction in children that is detrimental to, you know, their growth and their brains. Because if you get addicted to a substance at that age, I mean, you can see in Hope's behaviour, she's spending a lot of time and effort on hiding vapes and thinking about vapes and wanting vapes and buying vapes and so
Stealing
on.
vapes.
And it's kind of hijacking parts of her brain that really she should be doing maths with.
I think that they can ease off it a little bit, because they did have the vaping story with old Liam last year as well.
Are they just doing these stories until every single Corrie actor stops vaping?
Maybe. I think Peter has vaped, hasn't he? And Liz McDonald vaped. I think maybe it was back when vaping was first introduced, and it was, hey, here's a way of coming off of smoking. Then it felt like it was okay to get the Corrie characters who smoked to do that.
Vaped. I don't mind vaping. I think it's way better than smoking.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to do it myself. And I certainly don't think that people Hope's age should be doing it.
I don't want to vape because I could not afford it, and I would just be obsessed with it, and I would just spend my whole time vaping, and then I'd probably give myself popcorn lung or something.
Anyway,
what?
No, I just kind of think, it might be nice to have things
that
get different flavours.
It's also really, look, I kind of want to do it just to like keep my weight down, because I could be vaping when I'm eating. I could be vaping instead, couldn't I?
I know, that's how they get you, isn't it? Well. Anyway, that's not the main.
I'm too much of an addictive person. I'm never ever gonna even try or look at them. No, because it would be the end. I'd just be doing it all the time. I'd have it 3 on the go at once.
That being detrimental to the growth of young girls isn't the only problem with vapes, because apparently they can spontaneously combust.
Yeah, it's a problem.
What happened there? Was it the battery that
I think the
failed or something? Because after Crawshaw comes round and Hope's told that she can go back to school the next day, which didn't make sense, because in the same episode, was it Yasmin told Mason that he needed to be out of the house by the weekend? What day of the week is it, everybody? Nobody knows.
Maybe she was secretly doing him a solid.
Maybe this episode was set on Thursday, so tomorrow was still Friday, but it won't be, will it? It'll be Monday. But anyway.
Maybe she was doing him a solid by saying, get out at the weekend, knowing full well that they don't exist in Corrie.
Anyway. To cut a long story short, the bureau starts burning, and smoke was pouring out of it, and then Ruby comes home and discovers it later, and she doesn't particularly react she's just like, oh, it's on fire.
I like that reaction. That's what I would do as a child, like,
I suppose I better get a grown up then.
Just stare at it.
Evelyn comes in, she saves the day, she gets down the fire blanket. Good for them for having one. Is that a common thing in people's homes? We had some fire training at school a couple of months
stop
ago.
going on about
I didn't.
this.
I just mentioned it earlier,
No,
and now I'm mentioning
you've
it
mentioned
again.
it several times to me.
Things that the fire officer said that we should have that we don't have.
I know. It's
But
like,
apparently, fire blankets are very good.
yeah.
And I suppose
Buy one then.
work. I don't know.
Why are you telling me? I'm not in charge of everything.
You're the touch of the kitchen. I suppose working. You are.
Oh, grow up.
I'm not. You make the tea. Maybe it's a case of
All right. Okay. All right. So if there's a fire in the kitchen, and you come out, you'd be like, "Well, this is your problem.
Yeah.
You're in charge of the food. It's food that's on fire."
Maybe it's because Evelyn has worked at the cafe, and she's more au fait with what should be there for safety equipment. I don't
What
know
else would you have
saying.
happen, Michael? They had a fire blanket. They put the fire out, and that's
Evelyn
what
saved the day. I quite like the fire. And we were talking about this when we were watching it. Like, is that a fire or is that a CG fire? And I couldn't really tell. And the fact that I couldn't tell, I think, is progress. I was looking at it
but
going,
only if it is a CG fire. If you can't tell and it's a real fire, it's not progress, is it?
I
It's
suppose
just you being confused.
I suppose the fact that I was thinking about it did take me out of the
but
fantasy
we
that
can't-
Coronation Street was real. But I couldn't help when watching it thinking, is that a real or is that a fake fire? And then it took me back to that time that the speed dial was on fire and they lit a little match in front of the camera to make it look like it was a blazing inferno, and it didn't work at all. And yeah, however they did it looked quite good today anyway. So
Good fire.
Evelyn saves the day. They go to the cafe. They're safe and sound.
I
But
love-
what could have started the fire? They're wondering.
I love all snarky comments Ruby was dropping.
Oh yeah, like
They're
I
"What
hope
could
she
cause
loves
the
fire.
And Ruby's like, well, Hope loves fire, so maybe it was her.
Yeah, she's a pyromaniac. We find out later, according to
We
Ruby.
knew that.
I thought it was odd that Ruby knew the pyro bit of pyromaniac, but not the maniac bit, which I would have thought that maybe would stick in your brain more. Don't you think? Maniac's a not uncommon word, but whatever. So Tyrone comes in to find them in the cafe later. He's proper narked off because he's just been told by the fire service that it was started by a vape. Who could that be? So Hope...
So they've passed one test. They've passed one fire safety test. They've got a fire blanket. The safety test they failed was not setting fire to their house with a vape.
Yes, that is true.
So I think, you
That loses
you
your
keep
points.
lecturing me about all the things we're doing wrong in our house, but there's no vapes
There
in the
are
bread
no
bin.
secreted vapes in this house,
No.
as far as we know.
Well, they'd be very secretive if they are here somewhere.
Yeah. So Hope comes home later because the family are all cleaning up for her. Ruby starts saying, "Oh, you tried to kill me." Evelyn ushers Ruby upstairs so that Tyrone can let rip into his daughter, saying, "You said you're not going to happen again, but I don't believe you. It always happens again. You're a bloody liability girl," or words to that effect. And Fizz is like there. You said that it looked like Fizz was acting like she
They were
was
both
getting told
standing
off,
there
didn't you?
like...
But I haven't seen Tyrone that angry before, or not for a long time. That was I wouldn't say out of character, but and I wouldn't say he didn't have every right to get mad. I mean, Fizz was saying that Tyrone was overreacting a bit, but did you think he was?
Well, he's just sick and tired of... The thing is about Hope is that she's lurching from disaster to disaster continuously.
Well, she's been through a fairly stable period of no fires.
But this is why he's so mad, because he thought it was all behind them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think absolutely. He was like, this again. I can't be doing... And that did cause a lot of friction between him and Fizz back in the day when it first started. So,
but again, it reminded me a bit of the fact that this is a family, like a blended family, and the way that Fizz was standing there next to Hope as Tyrone was shouting at both of them did feel a bit like she was kind of on trial alongside Hope, and it's her fault because she's Hope's mum.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Tyrone was insinuating this, but surely if you're Fizz, you're thinking, God, Ruby's so good, Hope's so terrible. Is it my fault?
I'm a little worried that it's feeling like just a repeat of the same story we had before. And does Tyrone say, "Oh, I can't have Hope living here anymore. You and your mum need to
this
move
won't
out"?
happen.
And I hope not. We got Evelyn to hopefully hold them together, but I don't think he was overreacting. I think sometimes children need to be told straight.
Oh, you do
and
need
firmly.
to be told off when you're a kid.
You can't pussyfoot around it. She literally, by hiding something that she shouldn't have, which she stole, nearly set the house on fire. Sorry, that deserves a bit of a rollicking.
I'd get in trouble if I did that when I was a kid.
I think most of us would do. I think he was absolutely fine by how he reacted to her.
Yeah.
And you obviously got to be careful with how you speak to children.
No,
but
I think he should have beaten her.
I
think he should have.
He should have set her on fire.
Should have set her on fire and said, "How do you like that?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And then he should have made her vape 100 vapes and gone, "See, you like vapes now?"
Should he have Bruce Bogtrotted her and given her a massive chocolate cake flavoured vape? Yeah. So you will suck on this.
Suck on that until you die.
I've put an extra strength Duracell battery in this one. This is going to keep on going.
I
don't know how vapes
I don't think they work on Duracell batteries.
You reckon? Oh well, they do in Weatherfield.
They might do. I don't know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Paul over Gemma. I was like so over this story this week.
I didn't need this story.
I didn't like. We've had the funeral. We've had the rave up. This was just.
It
was a natural...
annoying to me because. So what happens is on Monday, Gemma's still really down, and Bernie's like worried she has to go back to work too soon. But Billy and Summer tell Chesney they found an envelope. And it's marked Paul's wishes, and everyone has to gather together to open it. And this just annoyed me because why didn't he write down his funeral wishes?
Yeah, maybe wouldn't have been a bummer if they'd have opened it up inside. What I really want is a Hindu funeral. I never see that coming, did you?
You guys better do it, otherwise I'm going to be really sad, and all the happy times we ever had will be tarnished.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So.
But why was it hidden?
I thought this was a bit a weak link in this story because it's been so great up until now and really touching, and this just felt like gilding that didn't really gleam and wasn't needed.
And there weren't any
big surprises.
No,
or interesting.
it was here's some things that I leave you, and none of them were that interesting.
It felt like it goes without saying a lot of this, you know.
Yeah,
like to Bernie,
don't need permission to take your VHSs back that I gave you.
So let me tell everybody what it was. So Bernie's got, "Won't you have me washing? Only kidding. Take all the VHSs you bought me and have film nights with the kids."
Was going to anyway, but thanks very much.
Gemma gets his onesie, but not the usual one.
This was odd. I think I'm gonna say that when this was written in the script that Paul bequeaths Gemma his onesie, the writer was 100% thinking of the unicorn onesie, but that they couldn't have it because it was on display at the Coronation Street Experience. So then they had to come up with this black and white onesie, which we've never seen Paul wear before, and I think that probably the unicorn one would have been better.
Also, the other thing about this is that this is a will, right? You can't just write Paul's wishes on a bit of paper. You had your chance to write a will. You should have written it in the will. I know I'm being old-fashioned and weird about this, but it also kind of makes me think that up until this point, everyone just thought that Billy was going to keep everything and not let anybody have any of it.
I know.
Like, surely Billy said to them, "Take what you want.
Yeah.
You have what you want. Have his onesie. Have whatever." I don't know. And then Summer gets his favourite mug, but there's a funny story to this, and that is both have the same mug, but he broke his and then stole Summer's, so he's actually giving her back her mug. And I just want to say,
was a bit of a bitchy
Harriet Bibby was really understatedly fantastic in this scene.
Yeah, because she was good.
The way she reacted was so realistic and well performed. I just want to give her props for that. Kit gets given. He has to learn to do the "Let's Get Ready to Rumble" dance, which I also think was a bit mean of Paul.
So do I.
Because that was their thing, and he's kind of making Gemma take Kit as his surrogate, as Paul, and Kit will never be Paul to Gemma.
Kit is not the sort of person that's going to be busting moves to PJ and Duncan on the street. And for Paul's last request be, "I want you to really embarrass yourself and go out of your comfort zone." Yeah.
And dance around like an idiot.
Yeah.
No, I didn't like that. He gave to Billy, he left his love forever.
Well, you can't flog that down cash for gold, can you?
Billy's like, thanks for that.
Well, we already had it, actually.
All of them, they get out, do stuff, look after each other, and have a ton of fun.
It was just a bit
twee.
on the twee side, exactly the word I was going to use, yeah.
So when they tell Kit that he's got to do this dance, he says, no, I'm not going to. And then he...
Well, that's
he has
exactly
an
what the
argument.
sort of thing somebody would say if they murdered Joel, to be honest.
He gets an earful from Gemma about it, and they just...
They just have a bit of a fallout.
It just is a really bad idea, and I've got no doubt that eventually Kit will be forced to do this dance.
Yeah.
But I don't think he should do.
I don't know whether he will. It really depends on whether they're going down the murdered or missing Joel route, whatever's happened.
Well, it depends on if he could juxtapose it with him finding Joel with a note in his hand saying Kit did it. I hope he's not dancing on my grave right now. Anyway, on Wednesday, Gemma's still in the onesie and she's really sad. Seems like this is hitting her more than anybody.
Well, yeah, Bernie's had her rave up, and although Gemma enjoyed that, it was more of her mum's thing,
not said goodbye in her
wasn't it?
own way yet.
No.
Billy had the funeral, Bernie had the rave up, and Gemma's the closest person who's left, who hasn't really...
Well, Gemma's the person he was closest
to.
Exactly. In any way.
I mean, look,
Billy, but...
they didn't have... This whole twin stuff was retconned.
Yeah.
And
But
they spent
sold
a
it.
lot of time estranged from one another.
Yeah.
But there's definitely an undeniable link that nobody can truly understand unless they're a twin. And a twin without the other twin is one of the saddest things I can really imagine. So poor Gemma being alone, and she ends up having a nap, a sad nap, and wakes up. She feels better. I don't know if that's the end of her being sad or not, but.
Well, by the end of the episode, she's having a bit of a snuggle with Ches on the sofa, wasn't she? That was quite a nice scene.
I liked it when she buried her nose in his shirt and went, "Oh, you stinker chips."
Oh yeah, and then she was like, nom, 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 nom.
That was really cute
funny.
when she did that. I wonder
was
if
great.
That Dolly Rose Campbell's great.
Oh yeah, I wonder whether she
Maybe
improvised.
I don't know if she improvised it, but that was like a really it's
It
the
was
sort
a
of
natural...
thing you don't normally see on Corrie.
Yeah, it was a couple moment.
How
isn't
many?
it? Lots of
Can you
couples have got
imagine?
little funny things that they do.
But can you
with each
imagine
other.
Sarah and Adam on the sofa, and Adam goes, "Sarah." No. Or like Toya and Nick. No. I can't imagine hardly any. That's what I mean about couples on Corrie. Like loads of them are so disposable.
Yeah.
And kind of dull. And even though I don't
Are we
rate...
really championing
I know, I was just
Gemma
about
and
to say,
Chesney as a realistic...
I don't actually really care about those two as a couple. I don't really like them together, but in that moment,
I like Gemma's love for Chesney.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it work.
Yeah.
She says, "Oh, she says, will we always be poor?" Which was horrible.
Yes.
Yeah, because
they can't think of any other storyline ideas for your love.
And then they fantasise about the quads being rich and famous, and she says, "If I feel bad, I will go to see Gaddis the Badass." And I didn't like her calling her that.
Didn't you?
I thought that was weird.
Well, Gaddis has been referred to as badass before in the show.
I know, but I also think if I was teetering on the brink of depression and discussing my options about treatment with my spouse, I wouldn't go, "I'll go see Dr. Gaddis the Badass."
Yeah, I said
no, it
that's
just felt
the nickname for Gaddis in the house.
It felt shoehorned in.
Well, I mean, I wonder whether it's anything to do with that badass episode that we did. Because
I think that we influence a lot of what happens on this.
100%.
Yeah.
Finally, we got this Toya Nick's Leanne's boyfriend storyline, which it's gonna happen, isn't it? Nick still feeling like he misses Toya. Beginning of this story, today's episode, he's apparently been staying over at the flats, but just hiding away in the annex or something while all this Bethany drama's been going on.
I think
we've
he
not
sleeps
seen him.
under the stairs.
You reckon? And so he's saying, "Look, I need to get out from under your feet. You've been tripping over my slippers. I'm going to do some flat viewings later." And Shona's asking him what the state of play is with him and Toya at the moment. He doesn't really know where he stands. So we have a couple of scenes with the two of them together. There's an awkward encounter in the street, and then he goes to the flat to see her later, wanting to talk. And she's trying to put it off. She knows that this can't happen.
She's being really still formal with him.
I think she's told herself, "I cannot let this happen. Leanne's the most important one to me.
He's seen you without your knickers on.
I know.
So let's not pretend.
She's really fighting it, and I think she's just got to put on this character that she's created, which is this is the person that doesn't want to be with Nick, but
at this point
they end up having a nice little chat together.
She's like, I've got to be there for Leanne. We can't. That's it. But at this point, I'd be crawling up the walls to get away from bloody sodding Leanne and her smug. You know, can you imagine being stuck in her? The last time we saw him, she was even being a cow to Sam.
Yeah.
Well, imagine it's like a horror movie. It's like they're all locked in a submarine in the middle of the Cold War, having to be silent and all just sitting there hating each other.
It was quite funny that we didn't see any of Leanne this week.
I think Toya's killed her.
I think next week is gonna. They're not gonna be able to keep their hands off each other. Nick's with David at the end of the episode, and David says, "Look, Sam's got to be your priority for all of this."
Well, he's still looking for new flats. I think he should move into Joel's place.
He could do, couldn't he?
It's empty.
He's pining after Toya, so look out for more moans about that in the coming weeks. I think it's going to happen. I still don't see how can Toya and Nick be an item whilst Leanne is still there, and I'm kind of wondering, could we be saying goodbye to Leanne? I just cannot see how she can be a character on the street while they're living happily ever after to each other. And in my brain,
stranger things
this is the route that they're destined to go down come hell or high water. I might make a little prediction of an exit for Leanne, you know. As sad as it would be. And I'd hate the idea that Toya and her ended on, you know, a downer because she nicked her man. But, I don't know, could happen. What were you going to say?
The only thing that would be confusing is where would Leanne live?
What? Why?
Well, because where would she live? Because Toya and Nick have to live with each other.
Yeah.
So where would Leanne live?
Leanne just lives in a normal flat.
Where, though? There's no sets. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Victoria.
Yeah, but you're not getting me, though. I'm just saying, they're not going to make a flat for Leanne, are they? So where's she going to live?
They might do. She could
Well,
live
that'd
at
be
Joel's flat. Right. I didn't go on too long, but we have got the cabin next, which is going to be super long. So before we head into that, we need to pick our scores and our characters of the week. How are you feeling about this week's Corrie in general? Like I said at the beginning, I'm thinking it was good, but not
solid.
Great. It was solid. There was
good.
You know, if you're a Swala fan, you're gonna be getting an extra half a point to a point, depending on quite how into them you are. I thought that Jessie was fine. I thought that the Swala stuff was kind of sweet. I always enjoy a bit of Dobbs State drama, and the Stew stuff was just like whatever. I'm kind of thinking that this is around I don't think it's a 4. I'm gonna give this 3.5 rewritten scenes out of 5. And my character of the week is... I don't know. I can't think. What's your score going to be? I'm going to think of my character of the week.
My score is going to be 3.5 ex-parrots. Because where's John?
Yeah, where is John the parrot? Maybe he's a dead parrot. Maybe we missed out on the whole dead parrot sketch, Coronation Street style. That'd be a crying shame. So,
well, I guess it wouldn't make sense for a clown to have a parrot.
Yeah, obviously they are cowboys props only, aren't they?
Well, I'm just going to say parrots live for a very long time, and
yes.
it would not be inconceivable that his parrot would outlive him. Actually, so
maybe he took John to Thailand and let him free in the jungle.
Maybe John found himself a Thai bride and wanted to live as an expat in Thailand. Maybe he lives with Jason. But we've got a nice pair of Thai birds together.
I think
my character of the week is Carla.
Carla. Oh, interesting. Okay. I am gonna say Gail as my character of the week because I really appreciated the way that they characterised her. She wasn't at all buffoonish or goofy. I thought she was serious and sensible when she needed to be. I thought the scenes at the hospital with her and Bethany were quite lovely, and it felt like she was totally in control of everything. And I also really enjoyed how kind of giddy and romantic that she got among Jessie. I enjoyed that. So well done to you.